no, he didn't do any of this stuff.
Yeah, all that
but the
cooked up
sister-in-law, oh, no, I understand that he's violent.
Yeah.
Okay, how did that work out? No matter what, the Democrats always go back to the same playbook. Every time, it's like, at least give me something new. Tell me,
right. Give me a new toy to play with.
Tell me he was into, like, internet fraud.
Yeah.
All right? Like, tell me he was into something that was novel that I didn't see coming before.
That's right. He runs a Ponzi scheme out of his basement.
Exactly. It's like, it's amazing. He built people out of billions of dollars. Like, something that is just different than what their normal scheme is.
He just ended that a couple weeks ago, knowing that he was going to be in front of the Senate. He
cheats on his taxes.
Yeah.
All right, well, okay.
Yeah, right.
Tell me more.
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely. At least intrigue me. He's a predator. When I read that, I was like, "Gall." I mean, his family. What a brutal family. I don't know. Not my cousin Curtis. I love him. I've detailed some of his antics.
He's loved here.
Yes, he is. And dude, I love him to death too. I mean, he has my name tattooed on his on his arm.
Well, not your name.
Not my name, but your name. Actually, tattooed.
Oh, and if you're a listener, not your name either.
No, it's not. It just physically says your name. But it's a great bar joke. The thing is, like, he's a mess, and I love him. All of my family's a mess, and I love them all. I don't have a cousin that I hate. I'm surprised that maybe I shouldn't be surprised. The Kennedys are a chaotic family too, but I'm just surprised that his family hates him as much as they hate him.
They got to look at him and say he doesn't play the game, right? I mean, that's kind of like
I guess.
Well, imagine this. Let's say if we ever thought that there was a great grandpa Cowherd and there was also like great uncle Cowherd, and they were both assassinated because they didn't play the game. Wouldn't everybody else play the game from here on out?
Yeah. That's pretty convincing.
And I think the rest of the family is like, you know what happens when we don't play the game.
Anytime we step out of line.
And this
is that's actually dude,
that's the only way I can think about it.
That's a point of view that I can accept and go, okay, I see why they're doing it. Their fear struck in their heart. There's a reason that they're doing it. They're not just doing it because they hate his guts.
They know the Democrat Party as well as anyone else. They are legacy Democrats.
That's right.
They recognize that when you step out, and man, this is going to be a war. When you step out of line, things can happen to you. And in this case, when it comes to Robert F. Kennedy Jr., this is a guy who has stepped out of line when it comes to dealing with the environment and dealing with Big Pharma. Those are his two big ones. And the idea that he has reached this consensus with Donald Trump that we have issues with what the American people are being fed, how they're being taken care of. Our life expectancy continues to drop. How do we have this many sick kids? To ask that question is stepping out of line.
Man, I tell you, I saw what Nicole Shanahan posted. Did you see the video that she posted about what she plans to do to people that do? So we need to pull the audio. We will for later in the show. She says, because she's a billionaire, right? I mean, she was his running mate there for a little while. I just saw it early this morning. I don't know, maybe 8 minutes ago, 10 minutes ago. And she basically said, anybody that votes against him, she is going to make it her life's mission to get them out of office. This is a woman with billions of dollars.
Like that.
Me too. She's just like, I'm not tolerating it. I'm not putting up with it. I believe in this man. I think he is going to do what is right for America. I believe he cares about the American people and their health. He wants you to know if there's a product they're using that you use at your house to feed your family and they put poison in it, that you should have that information. Now, if you choose to use it anyway, it's like cigarettes, right? You have they're not good for you.
You have the freedom for it.
That's exactly right,
whatever you're going to do.
Do whatever you want to do.
Cigarettes, alcohol,
all of it.
Whatever.
That's exactly right. I know whiskey ain't good for me, but I sure like it. So there's
yummy.
Yeah, I know. It's so delicious and tasty. Makes me warm all inside on a cold day, on a cold Wednesday. That's the thing. So his thing is, I just want you to know that they're putting poison in your food, and if you choose to consume it after that, it's a personal responsibility, whatever. But this woman who believes in RFK said, I will make it not just my mission, but my life's mission to bump you out of office, to primary you, to make sure that you are gone.
There's a part of me that finds that very reassuring.
Well, it's kind of like Elon Musk a little bit, right?
Yes, these are not people that are on our side. They just recognize
that's the other thing.
Here's the issue that's going on. And we had it yesterday when it was on Glenn Beck, and Casey Means was on there. And Casey Means has been a lobbyist over in Washington. His sister, Callie Means, who is a person who worked as a surgeon for 8 or 9 years, they both have been tracking this entire story, and they have found this alliance with Robert F. Kennedy Jr. And in a weird way, after the assassination attempt in Pennsylvania, Donald Trump found an alliance with Robert F. Kennedy. Looked at him and was like, I see what you're saying. I don't agree with you on, especially when it comes to energy. He's like, I don't agree with you on a lot of things, but when it comes to we need to get Americans healthy again, this is a fight worth having, and you're the lead guy on this stuff.
Hard to argue.
It's what the story has been. And so when you listen to Casey and Callie Means, it's the same thing. These are people that are traditionally have been more right-leaning, and yet they look at Robert F. Kennedy as, you're the one who's done all this work on this stuff. You need to be the one leading Health and Human Services.
It only makes sense. And that's the thing I think that we do better than the left, and it's not even close. I can listen to somebody that I don't agree with and not hate their guts. And that is not the case on the left, by and large. At least the vocal part of the left party, the Democrats. I'm sure there's some regular folks that are. I mean, Joey, our board op, he's more liberal than we are.
Sure.
And we still talk and we still discuss and we agree and we disagree, and it's fine. Like, he doesn't hate us and we don't hate him, so he's unique in that.
He hides it really well.
Or he just.
He
said, look at him
us.
smiling. He's smiling right now and nodding yes.
You bastards!
I hate each and every one of you.
Like, whenever we hear like the Morning Bastards, he's like, "You're damn right. You have no idea."
They are. Yes, they are. But that's the thing. Like, I don't hate Joe Biden. I think he's corrupt. I think he's guilty. I think he's all kinds of things. But I do not hate him. I do not hate the man. RFK, I have probably, 50% in common with him, maybe less. But I feel like where his heart is, like the goals that he wants to accomplish, are noble, even though I don't agree with him on a lot of things. Like, what is abortion? We don't agree on abortion. Single payer health care. We don't agree on that. He's been vocal that he supports that. I think it's a terrible idea. But where his expertise lies, I think he can benefit Americans.
There's a little bit of a saying when it comes to when you're fundraising. People would rather sooner give their money than their time.
Oh, yeah. Just like volunteering versus just cutting a check when you got kids playing ball.
Exactly.
Everybody does it.
If I was to say, Tug, I need you to donate 4 hours, you'd be like, what?
Dude, I got 4 hours.
$20?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll give you $20 before I give you 4 hours of time.
Or 100. Good Lord.
Okay. In your case, you're like, here's 100. Please don't take 4 hours of my time.
Dude, most people don't have 4 hours just to give up.
Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has donated time, his own time, to causes that get me excited. When you start talking about, this is a guy where you had mothers that were dealing with autistic children, and they were like, just look at the data. It's like, nobody listens to us. Just look at the data on what is going on. And he got involved with it. Now, remember, he made his career out of being an environmental attorney. You know, this is a guy who basically...
Another thing that I don't agree with him on.
But at the same time, I'm like, cool, I'm glad you cleaned up, like, the Hudson River.
Yeah, sure.
It's like, this should not be happening on a regular basis. You know, we talk about the idea of global warming. Listen, I don't buy into this stuff. No, I buy into the geologic time scale.
That's where I disagree. Cleaning up the Hudson, I'm all about.
But we talk about conservationism.
Yeah, versus environmental.
How do we clean up this stuff? There are at least... I'm probably with you. There's probably about 40-50% of stuff where I look at him and I go, we don't agree on everything, but I'm willing to listen to you on a lot of things.
And I think that's a good thing.
Sure.
That's a positive thing. But the left doesn't see it like that.
The establishment right ain't going to see it that way.
No, you're
either.
Right. You're exactly right. The establishment, DC establishment, that I should be more precise. The DC establishment, anything that they feel like takes away their power, their authority, their money, they hate, because that's what they're there for, to consume wealth, to consume power. And I want to see that change, and I feel like we have an opportunity here in America right now, in this transformational stage that we're in, to do that. Yet you have the only real Democrat that I've seen cross the aisle is John Fetterman. That's it. That's one.
I mean, we should be having the discussion that, for instance, when it came to, what was it, some of the dyes they put in our food.
Yeah, red dye 5 or whatever it is that they just banned.
Like yellow dye number whatever. It's like, and the reason why it's in your food is because it makes your food look more attractive. You go, ooh, that looks yummy. Yeah, that looks great. It's not liquor. Okay, it's not whiskey. It's like they dye it more brown, so Tug's like, ooh, more potent.
Give me that.
Looks amazing.
Yes, it does.
But when you start kind of looking into these stories about what we do to our food and recognize that these are not things that are done in Canada to the north, these are not legal in Europe, then you start asking the question, why do we allow it to be done here? And it's a profit game. So when Robert F. Kennedy is pointing out, here are things that are going on around the world that we are all subject to, yet they're not legal around the rest of the world. Why?
How come?
How come?
Head scratcher. Can't figure it out. Should be straightforward. And yet, the establishment, because I don't want to make the mistake, and I do, and I think we all do it a little bit. We say the Democrat, and it's the establishment. It's all of them.
No,
because I don't call myself a Republican and haven't for years.
You're going to be in such a battle when it comes down to, and Tulsi Gabbard's going to catch this.
Yes, she is.
Kash Patel's going to catch this.
Well, Tulsi, because she used to be a Democrat. I think there's a little bit with the RFK too. The Democrats hate them because they feel like they've defected.
Yes, they jumped out of the zoo.
But I mean,
why did you leave the zoo? We had it pretty good over here.
Seriously, fed us 3 squares.
To me, a lot of this is going to just be this battle where, as much as we're going to have, confirmation issues and questions going on during hearings, I think you're going to see as much harsh treatment coming from the establishment Republicans as you're going to get from the Democrats.
So
like to think that Lindsey Graham out of South Carolina,
goon.
Lindsey Graham,
what a goon.
To think that what he basically brought up was that, well, I normally vote for everybody, but I'm going to listen to the hearings and I'm going to make a decision from there. There's a part of me that goes, I don't believe you.
He's an embarrassment to a Southern accent. That's what he is.
Yeah.
Like, I usually admire people with Southern accents.
Not his.
Yeah. Because his soun's just insincere. I don't know. Maybe that's just me.
But will he vote accordingly? And there are these people that we recognize they're having a hearing, but it's not really a hearing. They're not making a decision based on information.
They've already made their decision.
It's already done.
Yeah.
I mean, when it came down to Pete Hegseth last week, part of the issue that I had, and I pointed out on Twitter, I was like, this isn't about qualifications. This is about the danger to the military-industrial complex, and that's what he's dealing with. And what did we find out as of yesterday? Yeah, the Mitch McConnells of the world were getting pressured. You can't vote for that guy, because what if he scales back some of our operations around the world?
Oh, my God.
John Thune's like, well, might cost us some money.
Okay, good. I mean, that's the thing that the American people hate, and that's what they voted against. And that's why you're seeing Trump's numbers consistently stay in the positive with everything he's done. You don't see anybody out front going, nah, he's taking this too far. No, they're not, because it's exactly what they voted for. You're seeing people in Chicago and New York City. I physically saw them telling ICE agents, thank you for cleaning up our streets. I've been scared to live in my own home, scared to leave to go to the grocery store, scared to leave to go to work, sure as hell scared to leave to go jump on the subway. These people are saying thank you to ICE agents. That's not getting reported. I've not even seen that on Fox News.
Donald Trump won the popular vote in part because I believe that Americans decided to vote to get S done.
And they're getting it.
That's it.
And they're getting it.
You voted to get stuff done. So let's see where this plays out. I mean, again, we're going to be dealing with watching a Senate over the next, basically 72 hours where it's going to feel like this is a whole do-nothing crowd. But let's see how they vote. And then if they don't vote accordingly, primary the hell out of them.
Which is where we started. Nicole
that is
Shanahan,
the danger.
The billionaire saying, vote against him and I will primary you to no end. Your career in politics will be over.
I mean, it's not like I'm trying to say, hey, I'm going to put Joe Virgin River against you. What I'm saying is Joe Virgin River's a billionaire and Joe's like, I will find the person to spend the money to primary you.
And as we've discussed many times, like if you're running as a congressman down like Buddy Carter, we brought that up. It's $2 million to get elected, and Nicole Shanahan comes in and drops $8.
Yeah, you're gonna get beat.
You're getting beat. I mean, you're getting beat unless you're as inept as Kamala Harris. You're getting beat. Anyway, we'll continue this discussion throughout the morning. 404-741-1230 if you want to be involved in a part of it. Glad to hear from you at Xtra 1063 across the social media platforms, whether you're listening on the app, on the terrestrial signal at 1063 FM, 1230 AM, streaming on the YouTube channel. We appreciate you being here on Xtra 1063. The Talkmaster Neil Bortz is up next.
From the latest breaking news to the conservative voices you know and trust, your best new follow on social media is Xtra 1063. We're at XTRA 1063 on Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, Threads, and LinkedIn, and pretty much any social media you scroll through every day. And we drop exclusive giveaways, new daily content, and the latest breaking news from Georgia and across this great nation. Interact with your favorite Xtra personalities. Get the latest on our live events and so much more. Follow at Xtra 1063 across all your social media and keep up with Atlanta's only conservative voice.
You know the old expression, I love it when a plan comes together? Well, with our First Liberty Notes, this has been so true. Hello, I'm Brant Frost, founder of First Liberty Building and Loan. You hear about our family's company all the time right here on the station. For over 30 years, we've been the local lender who said yes when the big banks say no. A couple of months ago, we opened up our First Liberty Notes program to Main Street investors just like you, and the response has been just incredible. Folks from airline pilots to physicians to even pastors are now earning 8 to 13% interest rates while helping to fuel the growth of local small businesses. If you're a qualified investor with a minimum of $25,000, you too could be earning 8 to 13% interest. We'd love to have you join our First Liberty family today. Go to firstlibertyga.com and see if our First Liberty Notes are right for you. Go to firstlibertyga.com. That's firstlibertyga.com.
First Liberty Notes are not obligations of or guaranteed by any financial institution and are not secured by any collateral. They are not FDIC insured or guaranteed by any government agency. You could lose money. SEC accredited investor status must be verified. Securities not offered in any jurisdiction in which it is unlawful.
Join A Second Chance Bail Bond CEO Daniel Madelon and host Tug Coward for the weekly radio show Back Your Blue. They will highlight special initiatives, criminal justice programs, and community events aimed at keeping our communities safer. Tune in Saturdays at 10 a.m. to learn some good news about and from the law enforcement and justice communities. This week's guest is Bernard Carrick, former NYPD police commissioner and a consultant to Donald Trump. Tune in on Saturdays or catch up on all past episodes wherever you get your podcasts or at thepodcastpark.com.
No one plans on going to jail, but when it happens, it's important that you know who to call. Call A Second Chance Bail Bonds, where we believe everyone deserves a second chance. Whether your loved one's been arrested in Cherokee, Clayton, or any of the other metro Atlanta counties in between, A Second Chance Bail Bonds works fast to help expedite release within hours. A Second Chance. It's better to know us and not need us than need us and not know us. Call A Second Chance 24/7 at 404-BAIL-OUT or online at atlbail.com.
With a dramatic increase in crime these days, I urge you to protect your home and all that you hold precious in it. If you've been thinking about home security, now is the time to join the millions of Americans who trust Simply Safe, and I'm one of them. Simply Safe doesn't just react to break-ins. It helps stop them before they begin. Their exclusive Active Guard outdoor protection uses AI-powered cameras backed by live monitoring agents to keep watch over your property 24/7. So if somebody suspicious approaches your home, agents can see them and speak to them in real time. They also call police, all before they have a chance to get inside. SimpliSafe makes it easy to protect with no long-term contracts, no hidden fees, and monitoring plans that start about $1 a day. Plus, with a 60-day satisfaction guarantee, you can try SimpliSafe risk-free. Visit simplysafe.com/Beck. Claim 50% off your new system with a professional monitoring plan and your first month free at simplysafe.com/Beck. There's no safe like SimpliSafe.
The stories that matter to you. These are your Georgia headlines.
Today is Wednesday, January 29th. Here are your headlines. The first piece of legislation during the second term of President Donald Trump's tenure will be signed today as the Laken-Riley Act will go into effect after passing through both halls of Congress. The law, named after a nursing student killed on the University of Georgia campus, Laken-Riley, would require federal officials to detain immigrants without legal status accused of theft and crimes. Over here in Cobb County, Town Center at Cobb, well, they have had their power shut off. This after the Kennesaw Mall was closed and its electricity turned off by Georgia Power, which said the owners were highly delinquent in their bills. There is an issue with cars at Hartsfield-Jackson Airport, as Clayton County officials have pointed out that frustrated travelers arriving at Hartsfield-Jackson Airport have not been able to rent cars on a regular basis. They blame this on the winter weather and one-way trips. And the Atlanta Hawks, they go down to the 32-14 Rockets last night, tracked them down in the fourth quarter, but were not able to close the deal here at State Farm Arena. They lose 100-96. For Extra 106.3, I'm Carlos Medina.
Boy, it's a good day when you get to talk to Neil Bortz, the Talkmaster, legendary voice in Atlanta radio for so many years, and he takes the time out for us, and we're so appreciative. Neil, what's up, man? How are you?
Yeah, I look forward to it.
Yeah, well, let me tell you, we do too.
How do I sound today? Is my voice, my golden voice coming across?
You sound like a mixture of honey and gold right now.
You know, I didn't know, really.
Can I start by just telling you, I really enjoyed the commentary yesterday when you broke down the interaction between Colombia and the United States with everything that occurred with Donald Trump.
Wasn't that funny?
I love the detail you got into all of it. And you know what I think it comes across, Neil? Granted, Donald Trump is a blowhard. Donald Trump can be a buffoon at times. But there's somebody who's sticking up for America, and I think that's refreshing.
Well, think about this now, though. Georgia politics are pretty much divided party line on whether or not they're supporting Trump and his actions with the, getting these illegals out of the country. This guy from Colombia is a former communist guerrilla terrorist fighter.
You're talking about the president down there, Petro.
Yeah, Petro. He doesn't own those petrol gas stations, does he?
I don't reckon so.
Okay. Anyway, he's the guy, the Georgia Democrats are on his side. Think about that.
Of course they are.
They're on his side. And I read some weeping story in the AJC this morning about another illegal that was arrested coming out of church. I guess you'll probably read that if you probably already have. Anyway, what didn't the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, God, what a newspaper, what didn't they say? Nowhere in there did they mention whether or not he had a criminal record before he got here or had committed crimes after he got here. And I think that's pertinent to the story because that's what ICE and Trump say they're doing, is getting rid of the criminals first. Well, if that's what they're doing, mention that and cover that while you're doing the story.
Well, they can't do that, Neil, because then that would give you all the context, and they couldn't, jump on and manipulate your feelings that way.
Well, they got Gabriel Sanchez, member of the Georgia House. I think the ICE is just trying to scare immigrants. See, yeah, that's like saying these policemen out there just trying to scare criminals. Well, yeah. and don't give me this nonsense about them not being criminals when they crossed the border, when every single one of them that crossed the border illegally was, when that first step hit American soil, they became a criminal at that point. Don't give me that nonsense about them not being criminals. And then Sam Park, another Democrat. I don't know these people anymore. I've been gone for 13 years. But, they're frightening legals. Yeah, like the police frighten. Never mind.
Well, well, I joked around about it yesterday. If ICE was to show up to this office, no one's going to be concerned because we're all taking care of our business and we're all here legally.
Well, wait a minute. What about the dude out there with the mohawk?
Okay, maybe. We'll see. I mean, there's always a possibility.
We could try to talk him into getting him.
But I think, and Neil, if you would put on, the former, attorney hat, whenever I keep hearing these people talk about, the rights that they have and due process, I'm like, you cross the border illegally, you're not a citizen of this country, you're not due the rights that everyone else is as a legal citizen.
Right. That is, yeah. You're afforded the due process rights when you are picked up, but you're an illegal. And then Selena Gomez.
Oh my
Can we
gosh.
spend an hour talking about Selena Gomez?
Well, that pisses me off so bad because I didn't see her crying when Laken Riley was killed. I didn't see her crying when that woman was set on fire on a subway. No one was crying then, and now all of a sudden she's crying? Seems selective to me.
Did she cry over child trafficking? Did she cry over the thousands of Americans that have died from fentanyl snuck across the border by illegals? No. I mean, where was she? Is she an immigrant, by the way? I'm sure she's legal.
No. She's a child star of Disney. But again, 300,000 young people, 300,000 children have been trafficked, and yet she's not crying about that.
Yeah. So there's a word for it: moral exhibitionism.
That's right.
Yeah.
Selective outrage.
Well, she still thought it was 2016. She didn't recognize it was 2025.
Well, poor Selena Gomez. Oh, by the way, guys, I took the COVID vaccine.
Okay.
Yeah. In fact, 3 of them.
Oh, my. Damn.
Yeah. I mean, where's my side effects?
You're okay?
Well, that's good news. That's good news. We're helpful.
I want to point this out, Neil, because I think that one of the aspects that we've seen with this, and this is just, again, we don't have the actual studies on this, it seems like it has a different effect on older Americans versus young men. And I think that's one of the discussion points we should be having. It seems, because my family's the same way and I advocated for it, it seems to actually work the way it's supposed to when it comes to an older generation of Americans.
Oh, well, then good. Screw the rest of them.
Yeah, well, look.
If that's the case, that's the case.
But that's what you were seeing with
we shouldn't be saying to 14-year-olds, especially young men, that it doesn't seem to process as well with them.
And it does have negative side effects on them, and we've seen that over and over again. And
younger people are better positioned to fight this thing off.
Yeah, sure. Which is the whole point.
Yeah. I mean, I can't fight off a fever blister.
Let me tell you, I get those too. I had a canker sore in my cheek over the weekend.
He's been hurting all weekend.
God, it hurts so bad. Like you brush your teeth and your toothbrush just like rubs across it. And you're like, ah! It's like a paper cut. It shouldn't hurt as bad as it does.
Well, I can tell you, this Abreva stuff really works.
Okay, I need to get some of that. I don't even put it in your cheek though. That'd be weird.
Well, I don't know. I would get them on my lips.
Yeah,
and
sure.
It would look like a botfly emerging from my lip. I've got this fascination about botflies. I don't know why.
I gotta look that up. I'm not sure what a botfly is.
Google it and get a video.
I'm looking at it right now. Okay, all right.
I don't know why I'm interested in all these like ancient animals right now. So as soon as you bring up some sort of creature I haven't heard of, I'm like, I'm in. Okay, tell me about it.
Well, no, it's a fly.
Yeah,
it grows inside your, and then
it does. Oh God.
Oh, okay, there you go.
Yuck. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Hey, I've never heard of that, Neil, and I wish I hadn't still to this moment.
Yeah, now you've looked at the video, and every time you see a little spot on your skin, it's, oh, God.
Is that bot fly?
Oh, my God. Lois, you have a bot fly. Watch out.
Our puppy had a bot fly.
Oh, well, that sucks, man.
Yeah, it does. You just take a little Vaseline, put it over that hole.
Smothers it out.
Yeah, and pretty soon the fly, what's the deal with the freaking Vaseline? And at that point, you grab it with tweezers and pull it out.
Oh, yuck. Dude, well, I didn't know we're getting a science experiment this morning.
Listen, remember, I've got a scientific background.
Oh, okay. All right.
Okay, I was reading today about the executive order that Trump signed regarding the military and the DEI.
Yes, sir.
Tell me if you disagree with any of this. Discharge service members who identify as transgender or receiving transgender treatments for failing to meet physical and mental fitness requirements.
Yeah, they need to be out.
They do. They're suffering from a mental illness called gender dysphoria. Ban the use of invented pronouns in the military.
Yes, I'm in for that.
Well, and I'll tell you, Neil, we had this discussion a little bit earlier in the show where we have friends of ours, family friends of ours who have committed to service academies. Some of them have been on ADHD medication in the past. If you're telling me that that is going to exclude you from service moving forward, then gender dysphoria is a whole other level of having a mental issue that should remove you from service.
Well, I agree. And I remember years back, this maybe 25, 30 years ago, this whole ADHD and Ritalin and all of that was such a big topic on the radio. And I was of the opinion that basically it was a bunch of phony BS. Now, I don't know what science has determined between now and then, but there were executives with my former employee who widely touted their children's ADHD status and their need from Ritalin and what have you. Let me tell you, it gets nerve-wracking every once in a while when you have quite a cadre of people who are demanding that you be fired. Do you remember Bill Nigut?
I don't believe I do.
Bill Nigut was a political reporter for Channel 2.
Okay.
He used to walk in to the manager's office at that radio station and sit down and demand that I be fired because I was bad for Cox Media.
Oh, wow. Well, dude, that truth getting in the way every time.
Neil, that wasn't the only one who was doing that. That's how you move the meter, Yeah, you tell too much truth is what happens.
He's in the manager's office demanding that I be fired. That's pretty ballsy, don't you think?
Yeah, it seems like it would cause a rift there at the office.
Yeah, well, guess who outlasted his? Never mind.
But I know your name. I don't know his.
Exactly.
I remember one time I was at one of these fancy restaurants, where they put 1 tablespoon of food in the middle of a plate the size of a hubcap.
Yeah.
And
I hate those places.
I do too. My God, they're just terrible, and the food is usually unedible. But anyway, all of a sudden I heard this voice from up front. Do you know who I am?
Oh, no.
And I looked at the people I was having dinner. I said, that's Nigut.
No. Was it really?
I said, excuse me a second. And I got up and walked and looked around the corner and came back and sat down. Nigut. Yeah, it's. Do
Nobody
you know who I am?
Nobody wants to be around people like that, man. That ever.
I mean, do you get a chance whenever that does happen? Because, again, he's not the only one. Do you kind of get the chance to do a little bit of scoreboard? I know you wanted me out, but I knocked out my career.
Oh, you're saying back to
I'm the one who got the W here.
You mean, do I go back and
rub it in his face?
No.
Well, even mentally, you just go that guy wanted me fired.
No, I don't do that. I'm a nice guy.
No, I don't believe that for 1 second.
I really don't. Why would I ever do that to somebody? Yeah, go and thumb my nose and stick out my. Although it is fun.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, so you have thought about it.
What amazes me is that I'm still around after. You're not supposed to live 12 years after you retire.
Oh, really?
Oh, no. People check out because they
lose
end
the
up,
purpose.
Yeah, losing purpose.
Yeah. But my wife is my purpose.
Good.
Yeah, and then I still get a taste of the magic by thanks to D Squared and Extra 106. Yeah.
Can I put something else out there, because I was looking at the schedule, and I'm trying, different people have their Neil Bortz experience, and I want mine as well. September 13th, Texas A&M at Notre Dame. Can we possibly talk about making this happen? Have you been to South Bend? Have you ever been? Oh, okay. This is one of those things we've got to line this sort of stuff out. We have some friends who own the Georgia Swarm. They're big supporters of Notre Dame football. We can get into their home. We can have a nice time. And
Do they have a jet?
Yes.
Oh, they do? Oh, wow.
The Arladas have a jet, yes. Oh, wow. In fact, when you go over to half the stadiums at Notre Dame, the Arlada's name is on there.
Oh, well, they're in deep.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I'm just saying, we can make this happen. I think this is the time, Neil. South Bend, September.
When does A&M play in Athens?
That is going to that's still going to be a few years out. Yeah, because they cycled out of that one.
They did?
Yeah.
Yeah, they had the 2 years, the back-to-back, what was it, I think 4 years ago? Yeah, and so, they won't come around for another 4 years.
Me and a buddy of mine who is a A&M grad, too, he taught me howdy.
Oh, he taught you?
Yeah.
Did he teach you how to answer a question that respond to a question you don't know the answer to?
Like Texas A&M style? Yeah. He did not. He didn't bring it up.
Not being informed to the highest degree of accuracy, I hesitate to articulate for fear I may deviate from the true course of rectitude.
I can't remember that.
That's so much for Tug to write down.
I don't believe I can get through all that. Yeah. If you could email it to me, maybe, and I could rehearse it a few times.
Ask him if he still knows how to whip out.
I'm afraid to ask him that, Neil. That seems inappropriate, especially with a man that's married. Yeah, I'm not sure I want to ask him about that.
I've been given that. I'm supposed to ask you this, sir.
I feel like I'm being set up. Right? Because that cannot go well.
No, that's safe, I promise.
Okay, all right.
Now, I do note that Trump and some politicians, obviously Republicans in Washington, are paying some attention to getting away from the income tax and going to a consumption tax.
He's brought it up twice in 4 days, Neil. This is really encouraging.
Well, there's a lot of, if the fair tax is in play, there are people that know a lot more about it than I do, but I am much more articulate in pushing it than they are. So I need to be talking to somebody.
Maybe is John Linder involved in that? Any of those?
Yes,
do you
he
know?
Is. Yes, he is.
So then there's your end.
It's very encouraging.
Yeah. Well, put me in, coach.
I'm ready to play.
I mean, the one essential here is that no family should ever pay a penny to the federal government in taxes until they've taken care of the family's basic needs.
Amen.
This is what we established. As long as you provide a jet, Neil will show up anywhere to take care of that Neil business.
I didn't say that. I said that's one of the elements.
That's one of the elements.
Right. It's one of the many things that is required.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, the rider is much longer than just the jet.
Yeah, he's got Van Halen style riders.
Yeah, and the jet is from RSW, not Atlanta.
Okay, got it.
Okay.
I only eat brown M&Ms. Damn it.
Exactly right. Stupid David Lee Roth and his green ones. I'm not taking any of that.
Mine's Jelly Bellies.
Oh, there we go. We're not getting M&Ms at all. It's Jelly Bellies. Who would have thought Jelly Bellies for you, Neil Bortz? How about that? All right. 6 o'clock hour is brought to you by Subaru of Gwinnett. When we continue with all the liberal tears over illegal immigration, where were those same liberal tears when Obama did the same thing? Next on the Morning Extra.
The latest sports news, powered by 680 The Fan, and driven to extra listeners by RBM of Atlanta in Sandy Springs, Atlanta's Mercedes-Benz connection since 1964.
Another loss for the Atlanta Hawks last night, making it their 6th straight. This time it comes at the hands of the Houston Rockets with a score of 100-96. Marking the 3rd game in a row, the Hawks haven't scored 100 points. Trae Young and Dyson Daniels returned to the lineup, where Young scored 20 21 had 9 assists and 8 turnovers, and Daniels scored 12 with 10 boards and 4 steals. The Hawks' record moves to 22-25 as they enter a 3-game road stint starting Thursday against the number 1 team in the East, the Cleveland Cavaliers. For Extra 106.3 Sports, I'm Joe Virgin.
Are you tired of dealing with loud, ugly, drafty garage doors? Do you have certain rooms in the house that you can't keep cool in the summer or warm in the winter? Hi, I'm Dan Watkins with All Four Seasons Garage, Entry Doors, and Windows. Now is a great time to upgrade with brand new, efficient, quiet, and beautiful garage doors. Your garage door is the biggest opening in your home, which is why it's such an important part of your home's curb appeal and energy efficiency. Give us a call today at 770-517-7078. Get started today by visiting us at allfourseasonsgarages.com.
It's a new year and a new opportunity to save at Jim Ellis Buick GMC.
For a limited time, save $7,500 off MSRP on select 2025 GMC Sierra 1500 models at Jim Ellis Buick GMC.
Plus, save an additional $2,500 with a qualifying trade for a total savings of $10,000 off MSRP. With the GMC Sierra 1500, you get it all: performance, luxury, and style.
Intentionally crafted to exceed your expectations. And for a purchase experience that will exceed your expectations, visit the folks you know and trust, Jim Ellis Buick GMC.
Start online at JimEllisBuickGMC.com or shop in person in Chamblee off Peachtree Industrial, just inside the perimeter, or in Beaufort off Highway 20 near I-985. Jim Ellis Buick GMC.
We are professional grade.
Offer applies to 2025 GMC Sierra 1500 SLT 5.3-liter V8 models. Example stock number 5155039. MSRP $67,570. After $10,000 in Jim Ellis discounts, sale price is $57,570. Excludes TABT and state fees. $2,500 trade assistance available. With 2011 or newer trade-ins, expires 1/31/25.
Military veterans are eager to transfer their skills and experiences to civilian life, but lack trusted connections to expedite their path to success. The civilian world can be confusing, and veterans do not need to journey through it alone. When you reach out to the Warrior Alliance, we will guide you to the best-in-class resources that can lead you toward renewed purpose after serving our nation. Find out why thousands of warriors have found success after service after engaging with the Warrior Alliance. For assistance, go to thewarrioralliance.org or call 404-210-1776.
Why shop for Valentine's Day at D. Geller & Son Jewelers? Because you don't want to end up like shouldn't have case number 605.
Happy Valentine's Day, honey.
Ooh, what's in the box?
Just a little something I got for you. You want to open it?
Okay. What is this?
It's a meal kit. I thought you could make us a good dinner. They say if you hurry, you can have it on the table in 30 minutes. Now, if you'll watch out, I'll light the stove for you.
Oh, babe. You shouldn't have.
High heat and high pressure make diamonds. They shouldn't make dinner. This Valentine's Day, give a treasure, not a chore, with a beautiful piece of jewelry from D. Geller & Son, like diamond hoops starting at $875, tennis bracelets starting at $15.15, and diamond studs starting at just $190. With Atlanta's best quality and value in hand-picked diamonds, engagement rings, everyday jewelry, and more, you can take the risk out of shopping this Valentine's Day at D. Geller & Son, serving romance, not recipes, since 1939. In Kennesaw, Sandy Springs, and online at dgeller.com.
Did you miss Neil Bortz?
I am shocked.
Don't worry. He's live anytime on the Extra 106.3 app.
Oh, that radio show.
Did traffic cause you to miss some of the Kimmer Show? Get it on the app.
It's all the kids talk about on Monday at school.
With anytime show replays from the Kimmer, Bortz, the Morning Extra, Clay and Buck, and so much more. Plus local headlines and breaking news. Grab the Extra 106.3 app now and start streaming.
Tug and Los on the Morning Extra on Extra 106.3. Download the app so you can listen live and on demand. It is so easy. It's so simple to listen to Extra 106.3. So many outlets to do that.
That's how I listened back yesterday.
On the app.
I always go with the app.
Yeah.
Every single evening, I will always go back. I want to hear the way that I might have portrayed an argument or a discussion. And so I always go back on the app. So I'm one of the thousands of people. Like, if you don't catch us live, we get a lot of people to jump on the app. All right, well, I'm with you.
Yeah, it's a place to be. I went back and listened to a little bit of it yesterday, too. There was one moment where I was like, I hosed it up. I didn't do good work there. I did bad work there. And I went back and listened to it.
Criticized Joe?
Well, no, it was me. You know, I criticized myself.
You were making fun of his sweaters?
Well, but that's
You're like,
easy.
oh, you look like broke down Cosby.
Yeah, but that's low-hanging fruit. I mean, I don't even see a need to point it out. You know what I mean? Because it's clear. Everybody knows. Anybody that sees it knows it. You know? You know what I mean?
I mean, if our YouTube video saw Joe today, they would wonder, is that Joe or is that a rug?
Hey, man, I think I look good, and that's all that matters.
No, I'm not saying you don't look good. It is straight out of 1990s Cosby closet.
Yeah, it is. Is that a thing now? Wearing like old styled clothes? Is that a thing for your age?
You do look retro.
I mean, to an extent. There's some people. I don't know many people who do.
Okay, so it isn't really a thing.
Yeah, not really. But there are some bits like that go to thrift stores and they buy sweaters.
Yeah.
Sweaters are more in than they've been in the past. But older, like Cosby looking sweaters, like this joint.
Yeah, no.
Not really.
Yeah, all right. I understand why. It makes sense to me.
I'm glad I didn't have to ask Bella.
Yeah.
And just ask Joe.
And he said something that's
much more honest. Bella lies to us all the time.
She does, because she says she doesn't vape.
I don't vape.
Yeah, we know she does.
I don't vape.
But Joey said that his generation, Gen Z, this would be a 4B kind of question for Bella too, is that all of his buds are going back and listening to the 90s music that wasn't good. That's their their trend.
Like late 90s, early 2000s, yeah.
All right, I get it. So I saw our friend down the hall, Chris Domino. And Chris Domino, Braves Radio Network, he joins us whenever the playoffs are on. He had Lifehouse blaring. Now, I'm not saying...
Hanging by a moment, that one hit they had?
I'm not saying that's not a catchy, fun song.
Yeah.
But like the early 2000s is noted as... There was a lot of bands all trying to sound the same.
Yeah.
They all wrote the same songs.
The Calling.
They were very catchy, and then they were gone.
Yes, that's right. They had one hit wonders, and I mean, there's always been that throughout music. I get it, but listen to this.
Hanging by a moment
here with you. Yeah. No, thank you. I mean, if it's on, I'm not going to flip out and be like, oh my God, I can't wait to change that song. But I mean, it's not like anything that I'm going to queue up.
No, it's a guilty pleasure. When it's on, I don't have a problem with it.
But can I tell you the bands that Joe brought up that his buds are listening to right now? Creed, Three Doors Down. Yeah, which, I mean, look, that's another. If it's on, I'm not going to raise Cain because I know it's 3 minutes and be done with.
Yeah, it's fine.
But he also brought up Insane Clown Posse and Limp Bizkit.
Okay.
Those are ones that I can't get to change the song fast enough.
I have for years said this. It's a good friend of mine. I spoke at his wedding. I would always joke around about his love for Limp Bizkit.
Ugh.
Like, it didn't matter what was going on. If he was ever to say, like, well, I don't know if we should do this, I'm like, whatever, dude. You love Limp Bizkit.
Yeah, you have no room. You have no standing.
Like, you were a Fred Durst dude.
Ugh. God, so bad. So bad.
Like, anyway. I sing it's all about the he said, she said, every day to myself.
Not gonna lie.
Like, it's a meme song. It's constantly in my brain. I think about it all the time.
I would like to think that when Nookie comes on, you just sit there in the mirror and you're just
so bad
singing it to yourself.
Yeah. So bad. So that band is so terrible. Anyway. I can't believe that your friends
had their time.
But it wasn't a good time.
There was a whole lot of that.
It wasn't a good time.
It's not as bad as ICP.
No.
No, Insane Clown Posse.
Dude, they're right. If they're horse racing, it's a photo finish. They're both horrible.
Oh, man, I think ICP clears it just because of the whole shtick, too.
Well, yeah, and wearing makeup. Any band that wears makeup, I'm out. You don't like Kiss? I appreciate Kiss, but I don't like the shtick.
Kiss has some.
They do have some great tunes.
Nobody else was doing that in 1974.
Right.
It was a bit.
It was, but it's
and then we're going to take the makeup off. And you're like, okay.
Right on.
Then we're going to put it back on.
Yeah, it was just like, it was like when one runs out, let's go back to the other.
By the way, Insane Clown Posse, right there in line with Bloodhound Gang. Same sort
you and
of
me,
stuff.
baby, ain't nothing but mammals.
Now that's very catchy.
At least it was catchy. At least you got a laugh out of it. You know, and it was 3 minutes and it's done. I don't know, man.
And the one guy in the background, getting horny now.
That's the only time that word didn't gross me out.
The only time that would crack me up is just the one guy behind the scenes side vocals, getting horny now.
Bad music. If you want to weigh in, 404-741-1230 at Extra 106.3 across the social media platforms. Tug and Los. The liberal tiers are a bit, I don't know, dishonest. Because I don't remember them being really upset when Barack Obama said this.
If you're a criminal, you'll be deported. If you plan to enter the U.S. illegally, your chances of getting caught and sent back just went up. The actions I'm taking are not only lawful, they're the kinds of actions taken by every single Republican president and every single Democratic president for the past half century.
So much so that he gave Tom Holman a medal for all the people they deported. I don't remember there being an outrage on CNN or MSNBC or any of those places.
Yeah, because they were deporting people that had committed crimes and just said you have to get out. And when you look at the numbers, Bill Clinton was the leader. Yep. Bill Clinton was the guy who actually led when it came to the amount of people. Donald Trump, in part because of his border security issues, the things that he raised, the Remain in Mexico, we didn't really deport that many people last time around. We didn't have to.
But what he said is no different than what Donald Trump is saying.
No, it's the same.
It's the exact same thing. One causes a panic and a meltdown. The other is just like, oh, okay. All right, yeah, that makes sense. Why wouldn't it still make sense? Like I know it's politics and I get it all, but it's hard for me to take, and I think the American people, hard for the American people to take these people serious because they're like, well, but when it's almost like the environment and climate change and all that. They're like, you can't do this. You need to eat bugs. You don't need to drive your car. You don't need to take vacations while they're flying in private jets. People don't take it serious because their eyes and ears tell them not to.
Well, Hillary Clinton, when you listen back on stuff she was saying during her presidential run and then going even further back, she sounds much more hardline than Donald Trump ever did.
I know.
You know, and Barack Obama is flat out telling you, I'm just doing the same thing that other presidents on both sides of the aisle are doing. But that now becomes like this pariah message. You can't possibly consider that.
Yeah. But the American people support it. And it's clear. There's not a whole lot of outcry there. They're like, clean up my country. When we continue on Extra 106.3, Trump, next level trolling over a potential third term? What? Next on the Morning Extra.
Getting horny now. Victory.
Hey, it's Tug. The Morning Extra has you covered from 6 to 10, and Kimmer's got you on the ride home.
By the way, for the record, screw the TikTok. Too bad if your children will hate you the rest of your life. It's a Chinese spy agency. Why should we allow it? Duh. My God. I mean, isn't it that simple, really? Even the Chinese will not allow the TikTok app in China. All right, let me say that again. The Communist Chinese Party will not allow TikTok in China.
Balance the scales here. What's worse? The Chinese military owning and operating that and spying on us by using it.
Yeah,
or demonic American popular culture being sent over to China.
Yeah, oh my God. Well, let's see if I can't decide. I just can't decide.
It's a lose-lose, I think.
The Kimmer Show, every afternoon from 3 to 6 p.m. on Extra 106.3 and the Extra app.
Hear that? That's the sound of the 2025 Duck Pluck event benefiting Special Olympics Georgia. This year, you can make a splash for the 18,546 athletes and adopt your duck today to support Special Olympics Georgia. With your duck adoption, you will not only be entered to win some awesome prizes, but you'll be sending athletes to games with everything from food to housing. The Duck Pluck will be held on Wednesday, September 17th, and you don't need to be present to win. So adopt your duck today, starting at just $10 at duckrace.com/Atlanta.
Tax season can be stressful, but it's also a wake-up call. It's time to think beyond April and plan for your future. At Master Plan Retirement Consultants, we're not just advisors, we're your partners in building a secure retirement. At Master Plan Retirement Consultants, we understand the challenges Georgians face. That's why we offer personalized strategies to maximize your retirement income, minimize taxes, and ensure you never outlive your assets. Join the Master Plan family and let us guide you through every financial milestone. Visit masterplanretire.com to schedule your appointment today. Master Plan Retirement Consultants, where your journey and destination are both important. Visit masterplanretire.com to schedule your complimentary consultation today.
Advisory services offered through Master Plan Retirement Consultants, Inc., a registered investment advisory in the state of Georgia. Insurance, tax, and commodity services offered through Fricks & Associates, Inc., DBA Master Plan Retirement Consultants. The aforementioned are affiliated companies.
Neil Borch here. Maybe you've already taken the steps to improve your health, maybe save your life. You're using a CPAP for your sleep apnea. I've been using one for well over 20 years. So right now, I'm here to tell you about a source for CPAPs and CPAP supplies here in the Atlanta area. CPAPs, etc. They're in Alpharetta. They have whatever you need. Roddy and Sharon are your CPAP experts, and they'll ship nationwide. More information, CPAPsetc.com.
This is House Call for Health. Nevada's first ever mobile grocery store is opened and will start traveling throughout Las Vegas. Groceries on the Go aims to provide people with more affordable and healthier food options in areas known as food deserts. It partners with United Healthcare Health Plan of Nevada and VA Southern Nevada Healthcare System. Brooke Neubauer is the founder and CEO of the Just One Project.
The bus is going to be in operation and make 3 stops a day when it's running, so we're so excited. We're going to be serving CCSD school sites, senior centers, community centers, housing agencies. We're going to bring the grocery store to where the people are.
The grocery store is on a school bus, which is donated by the Clark County School District and powered by NV Energy Foundation. It offers a variety of products from fruits, veggies, and dairy to dry goods and proteins. For more health news, go to foxnewshealth.com. House Call for Health. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News.
WFOM and W292 EV Marietta, a Dickey broadcasting station. This hour is presented by Van Sant Law, vansantlaw.com.
Don't want to go back to the office? Then just go. I'm Dave Anthony. Fox News. President Trump, who wants federal workers to stop working from home, is offering buyouts.
A memo sent to the federal workforce from the Office of Personnel Management is giving employees an option to leave their jobs with as much as 7 months of salary and benefits. But employees must decide to resign by February 6th. Not all federal employees are eligible. There are exemptions for military personnel, postal workers, immigration officials, and others in national security roles.
As Fox's Jared Halpern, a White House plan to freeze a lot of federal spending and grants so it can be reviewed, blocked by a federal judge who said it could cause irreparable harm. Democratic Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer agrees.
This money supports states and cities, school boards, hospitals, small businesses, families, firefighters, police officers, fighting fentanyl. So many things just, boom, cut.
When states complained Medicaid payment access was cut off, the White House says direct assistance like Social Security and other benefits would not be affected. Now to the Capitol, where Fox's Ryan Schmelz reports a controversial Trump nominee gets a hot seat this morning.
Robert Kennedy Jr. will testify before the Senate Finance Committee as the Department of Health and Human Services nominee and will take questions on his stance on vaccines, abortion, and other issues. His cousin and former ambassador to Japan and Australia, Caroline Kennedy, making the pitch for him not to be confirmed.
He lacks any relevant government, financial, management, or medical experience. His views on vaccines are dangerous and willfully misinformed.
Now, in his opening statement, Kennedy plans to tell senators that Americans' overall health is in a grievous condition, with obesity, diabetes, addiction, and a lot of mental and physical health conditions on the rise, adding he's not anti-vaccine or anti-industry, he's pro-safety. Happy New Year, the lunar one, beginning the Chinese Year of the Snake. New York's the first state to close schools today to observe this New Year holiday. America's listening to Fox News.
When you hear the term living better, what do you think about? More money? A bigger house? Maybe a yacht? What about how you feel physically? How you wake up each day? How you sleep? What activities you can and cannot do? When you feel good, life is good. So if pain is affecting your life, see how Relief Factor can help. Relief Factor is a daily supplement that fights pain naturally. Developed by doctors, it doesn't just mask pain temporarily. It helps reduce or even eliminate pain. In fact, the longer you take it, the more effective it is. So give their 3-week quick start a try. It's only $19.95, less than $1 a day. And it just takes a phone call, 1-800-4-RELIEF. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF. Wherever you're hurting, in 3 weeks or even days, Relief Factor can give you a chance to rediscover the true meaning of living better again. Visit ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4-RELIEF. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF.
Grow your business organically with Atlanta's fastest growing news and talk station, Extra 106.3. Get started today by emailing sales@xtra1063.com.
Tug and Los on the Morning Extra on Extra 106.3. The app, best way to listen. Download that today. I wasn't going to see Captain America: A Brave New World with Anthony Mackie, but after he said that America was not a term that represented Captain America, I was definitely out. That's when I was like, I don't know about you, Anthony Mackie.
I'm bothered by this because I enjoy the character. I enjoy even the television series leading up to Anthony Mackie becoming from the Falcon to Captain America. As a nerd of this genre, I am interested because most Marvel movies recently, outside of the Spider-Man movies, I have not had an interest in at all.
Not enjoyed. I mean, as you know, I just don't watch a lot of TV
You don't
movies.
partake in this because you don't like this fantasy genre.
I struggle with it. I do.
Tug hates fun.
Yes. I mean, anytime I see fun, I try
fun.
to, try to extinguish it as quickly as I can.
Does Avengers Assemble, does that do anything for you?
No, it doesn't. Now, if we all said, hey, this weekend we're going to do Boys Friday night and we're going to have some cold drinks and we're watching these movies, I'd be in. I'd do it. I wouldn't complain. I'd be like, I'd ask a lot of questions, probably piss you off. Worse than a person doing it at the theater.
What's happening here?
Yeah, I have no idea.
Who's that guy?
Why? How does he talk to the fishes?
What is their magic power? No, that's DC.
Yeah, right. But then Mackie has further explained that Captain America embodies universal values like honor, dignity, integrity, values that resonate globally. He said he is very proud to be an American. So that's a bit of a,
Can I throw something in there?
Yeah, sure.
And just for you to put this in the equation, I know that the Tug soup is coming together here. Mm-hmm. And listen, it tastes good. Okay? Like the Tug barbecue soup, it tastes good.
So that'd be Brunswick's too, I believe.
That's right.
Barbecue soup.
There is a part in the series that he was previously part in that acknowledged how we treated some of our American servicemen of color in the past. And that was... It was like a 5-6 episode series, and there was a part of it where there was a super soldier before even Captain America, and here was the experimentation on him, and here how he was treated. And so it kind of just works when he brings up that America ain't all
isn't perfect.
It's not always the best thing. So when he talks about, hey, Captain America isn't exactly... Captain America is supposed to be the best in everything among us.
Yeah, sure.
But part of the whole lineage of the story of Captain America is that Captain America ends up looking at America at a time and saying, we're not doing this the right way.
Which we did as voters.
We need to live to a certain different ideal.
We did as voters.
So I don't have a problem with, I would like to see him explain it, but I don't have a problem with that.
He's got to be more clear. He's got to be, because if he says that, then I'm like, okay.
Yeah,
I take no offense when he says America's not perfect, because it's not.
Yeah,
neither am I.
The Chris Evans character as Captain America begins to become disillusioned during those movies with America because he doesn't agree with what's going on politically.
You got to explain that, though. I think when you just go out and say, Captain America doesn't really embody America. I'm like, well, wait, what do you mean? It's America's in his name. How can it not?
It's just Captain America is supposed to be, and in this case, when it comes to his character, he's a military veteran who got out and then goes back in, and he was basically, for lack of a better term, paramilitary rescue. Like his job was to go in and go save American lives and rescue down people. And so, again, it's complicated if you don't know any of this stuff and you just read it or you just watch it. Because I had to kind of go like, okay, he's talking to the comic book crowd.
Okay, and I'm not. And
exactly. I get it, yeah.
Well, but I think, I would imagine 50% of the country is not.
No, I agree.
Even the folks that like the movies probably aren't.
Hey, Clay Travis was tweeting about this exact thing, and I had to go back and look at it and see what he said and recognize that he's talking about the complications of the character and of the place where that character is. America's not perfect in those movies.
When he comes back and says, I'm proud to be an American and taking the shield of a hero like Captain America is an honor of a lifetime. Dude, that resets for me. I don't hold grudges, but when that was first said, I was like, it's like the Dixie Chicks going to the UK or going to Britain and England and saying, we're not proud
of George Bush.
What? Dude, you can air out your dirty laundry at home. You don't go next door and air out the dirty laundry.
And I'm telling you, when I first saw this and I first read it, I went like, what? But then, again, now I got to go back through 10 years of watching this to recognize what he's trying to say. It's America's complicated. Let's face it. I always talk about it. We're not always
in the right
guys.
We're not always the good guys. You were the first person I ever heard say that.
Yeah,
ever.
And again, I say that as somebody who loves this country,
and
this country,
and that's why I never took offense to it.
And that is why I'm like, we are not always the good guy. And I think if we can call balls and strikes accordingly, I think that's part of the reason why people listen. Because when we say, "Hey, this may not be the best course of action here," we're not just waving the flag and saying, "No matter what we do, we're right."
Yeah. Because I can understand when we get it wrong. And it may be even a decision that I supported, and it's not the right one. I get it wrong all the time. And we're going to continue to get things wrong. President Trump is not going to be flawless. And anybody that expects that he is wrong. And anybody who supports him without questioning anything. And I don't mean his cabinet. I don't mean his inner circle. They should. But for us to sit back and go, President Trump, I love you, man. Love America. I know where your head is and I know where your heart is. I think you're wrong on this one. I think it's okay to do that.
We're day 9, and it's been so much fun because, as we've brought up, there's been so much winning. And so far, you have Donald Trump that is basically doing what he said he was going to do on the campaign trail.
Appreciated.
There is not one aspect of anything that he has brought up where we say, oh, he didn't tell us about that.
No, that's right.
I mean, about the only one when he talked about, like, hey, no taxes on tips. And then he started saying, well, we might get rid of the income tax. I was like, hell yeah. Okay.
Let's go. Now you're talking about language. Now you're saying the right things.
But so many of these things, he spent his time campaigning. So a lot of this is, promises made, promises kept.
Of course it is.
At some point, we are going to get over the skis, though. And we have to be able to point it out and say, hey, this doesn't make as much sense as we believe it should.
And it's bound to happen. And it will at some point. Final thought on the Captain American thing. If y'all want to, when this comes out, if y'all want to take a day, maybe a Friday, we meet up on a Saturday and do a matinee or whatever, I'll go see it with y'all. I'll go see the movie with you. And
you're going to be so far behind.
Okay, well,
there's so much you actually have to watch.
So
Joe,
I won't be able to enjoy it at all.
You literally have to watch, 6 episodes of Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Falcon and the Winter Soldier is a big help in what's going on. If you know the background of Anthony Mackie's character as a guy, you know what he starts out at when he shows up in the Marvel Universe? You know what he is? He's a therapist who works with veterans that are struggling.
Okay, all right. I like that. That's great.
Yeah. So, I mean, but that's the background that he's painted as the guy who is there to help other soldiers coming back from war, which is why obviously he takes a liking to Captain America, a guy who basically went into it sounds crazy. He was frozen in World War II and then he came back in modern times.
I kind of know a little bit about that. So what I'm hearing out of that let's go see this movie together is no. You and Board Up Joe may go see the movie, and I'll be at home not realizing that y'all have gone to see the movie.
You're going to have to be given an assignment. You're going to have to be given some watching, or else there's going to be giant question marks that you're going to have.
Okay. All right. Good enough.
And you don't want to be the guy asking questions in the movie theater.
Yeah. You're going to be like, that wife character who just sits here and is like, what's happening? Who is that person? Because what happens is...
Why are they doing that?
And whether it's credit to Marvel or if you want to make it something you want to harp about, and I get it, there are times where Marvel assumes you've watched everything.
Yeah, and I don't.
And so there's not a whole lot of introduction or let's re-educate you. It's just you either got it or you didn't. Like there's a scene in Spider-Man No Way Home where his attorney shows up to his home, and you're like, dude, that's Daredevil. But they don't say anything about it.
You just have to know.
The blind attorney. You either got it or you didn't.
Yeah.
And so as you're watching it, like when I was in the theater, the whole crowd went nuts. They're like, dude, because they all recognized who it was.
They knew what it was, yeah.
And the only reason I recognized who it was is because I had seen the series like 4 or 5 years before.
Okay. and recognize. Okay.
Right. But they're not explaining it to you.
Well, yeah, which I get that. Donald Trump does that, too. He drops little nuggets like that. When you don't expect it, he drops a nugget. And for us, we get a good laugh out of it. I mean, a knee slapper. Just cackling out loud because you see the people who don't get it, much like you're saying with the movies. People that don't get it don't know what's going on. And when Donald Trump says, third term, can I do a third term? Would I be able to do that? This is next level trolling for those people who are emotionally hysterical.
I've raised a lot of money for the next race that I assume I can't use for myself, but I'm not 100% sure because I don't know. I think I'm not allowed to run again. I'm not sure. Am I allowed to run again, Mike? I better not get you involved in that.
It's so funny. And you see the meltdown on social media happening. He's going to be a dictator for life.
You have had it put forth by a congressman out of Oklahoma that you can seek a third term.
Right.
If you're not, and again, it's not going to go anywhere.
No, of course it's not.
But
because I think that's trolling too.
As long as you're not seeking consecutive terms.
Right.
You can't serve two and then try and get a third.
Right.
It's, again, not going to go anywhere.
No, of course not.
But if the first 8-9 days says anything, dude's playing it the right way.
Absolutely right. I just love seeing the meltdown when Trump just dangles the carrot and the leftists
they run again. We'll see.
Lunge at it, and then they melt down. They just have this. I don't know what kind of reaction you'd call it. A horrible reaction. From my point of view, a very funny reaction because I knew what he was doing and I knew what their reaction was going to be. And all of this, Los, all of this is just to keep them off balance, to draw them off sides, to use your example.
Yeah, we talked about this being a fight in which your competitor is punching you constantly, and then as soon as you try and defend that, well, then he's kicking you in the ribs. It's just one thing after another. All Donald Trump is doing is flooding the zone. If you're not aware of, it's a football term that basically just means, hey, you got 2 defenders in the area, we're going to send 4 receivers in the area. You can't cover all of them. That is the way that he is playing this. He's flooding the zone and making it to where when they get upset about one thing, then he launches a complete other attack somewhere else.
Exactly right.
I can't believe he's talking about a third term. Well, then suddenly he starts talking about taxes.
Yeah.
There's always something. I had this discussion with my wife last night. We were talking about the idea of what's going to happen with the capital gains tax. And because everything's on the table, and tax reform as of yesterday, Donald Trump said, I'm looking to work with Congress. Sure. It's going to be massive. We're going to change this entirely. I told my wife, what if they suspend or change the way capital gains are done? And I said, this would literally save us thousands of dollars based on some of the stuff we want to do moving forward. And that was that first moment of, Donald might help me.
Oh, wow. She saw the light for just a second.
For just a second.
A blink of the light.
There's a little glimmer of Donald might help me. I'm like, he's trying to help us all, babe.
That's right. Which is what we've been trying to tell you from the get-go. It's all about helping everybody in America like his first term did. Can you imagine how successful he would have been in the first term had he been able to put the people in place like he has now, people that he trusts, people that understand the mission, understand the goal, and are able to get it done. He didn't have all those swamp people, for lack of a better term, swamp creatures ruining everything he was trying to do.
It's a legitimate criticism, and we brought it up while he was campaigning this last time around. He was bad at hiring. He was bad at finding people outside of the business world to help him legislate and to help him organize government. This time around, the guy spent 4 years basically in exile. He was on Crete, basically deciding, who am I going to bring along with me? And it was the kind of person I thought about this, and maybe this is not fair, but whatever, she deserves it. Ain't no Jenna Ellis's anymore.
Mm-mm.
It's not anymore of these soft serve, I'm real conservative, but you're not. Oh, I'm all about the Trump agenda, but you're not. It's like you have these people now. You're not crying in front of the judge saying, I shouldn't have ever represented Donald Trump. It's like, no, you have people that are locked in to the agenda and to the message, and that didn't happen in 2016, 2017.
Right, because he had to depend on people
He was given a list. Here, hire these people.
Here's the people you hire. And they knew exactly what they were going to do. They're going to keep him off balance. They're going to keep him off message, keep him off the mission. And this time around, it is completely different. RFK, 10 o'clock this morning, we'll start the Senate confirmation hearing. I don't know about you, but when I see somebody's cousin throwing a haymaker from the back of the room, I automatically go, wait, what's the goal here? Like, what is it that you're trying to do? You can say that I disagree with him, but to call him a predator, that seems a little over the top.
Get a new playbook. Like, I congratulate the left when they launched into COVID, because at least that wasn't something we really ever experienced in Spanish flu in like the early 1900s. Like, we're like 1918, Spanish flu, we got to change the way we live. COVID made us change what we were doing. But largely, the playbook when it comes to the left doesn't ever change. If there's somebody who is seeking office, one of the things you do is you make them look like a sexual creep. And it doesn't matter if it's Donald Trump with the grab him by the peas. Doesn't matter if you're a Supreme Court justice. We've got to find somebody who will say this about you. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is just dealing with the old standard playbook. That's what he's going to be dealing with today. And somebody on Capitol Hill will ask him about these things that are said about him. And all he has to do is just say, same old playbook.
Predator is such a word, though, that you use just like you're describing. You use that when you're trying to allude to something that is more sinister. You know, like their problem with him is, I guess, you know, that he's not 100% pro-vaccine, which today you'll hear him say, my kids are vaccinated with the vaccines that I think are necessary and important and that have proven to work. The ones that are experimental, I'm not all for. And that's why they hate him. And they went with the word predator, hoping to make some sort of conclusion or make people come to a conclusion that is much more and much different than the disagreement with vaccines.
I'm willing to listen when he points out your vaccine schedule during the 1970s and 1980s. Here was your list. How did it then grow tenfold where some kids are required in order to be in school and be in society to have 96 different shots?
Dollar bills, that's why.
That's crazy.
Dollar bills. That is the reason. Unfortunately, that's the reason. I told y'all many times, Mama got me kicked out of kindergarten twice. They told me, they're like,
I won't get him that measles shot.
She was skeptical then. And finally, she had to give in, or I couldn't go back to school. Now, I'm 48, so that was early, I guess, the early 80s. But I guess the trend had started up, she was already skeptical, man. She was already a fan of RFK, and she didn't even know who he was.
I would like to imagine that Mama would go and yell at the school with, like, the half-lit cigarette right on the lip.
Yeah.
Can't get me to do this to my boy.
That's right. Mama didn't smoke. However, if you add that little element in there, it does paint a better picture.
You're not calling her Meemaw.
Yeah, that's right.
It's in J.D. Vance's mom and
right.
grandma.
I never called my grandmother Meemaw ever. It was either grandma or Ma Brown. My mama's mama. Anyway, so when we come back on Xtra 106.3, Stephen Miller, White House Chief of Staff, took on Jake Tapper at CNN. And know this, Trump hired the right guy. Next on the Morning Xtra on Xtra 106.3.
Hey, it's Flounder, and The Kimmer Show is live every afternoon from 3 to 6 p.m.
Ty tweeted, I'd rather not entrust space travel to a guy who does a Nazi salute. To which EB responded by tweeting a pic of NASA rocket scientist Werner von Braun standing in front of models of his Saturn rockets with the caption, boy, do I have news for you.
An actual Nazi.
The Kimmer Show, every afternoon from 3 to 6 p.m. on Xtra 106.3 and the Xtra app.
Do you have those things that you need to do at home that you know you need to get done? You've put them off because it is a task. You got to vet companies. You got to ask friends, hey, have you used somebody to fix the siding or replace the siding, which is, it's a big job. If you use somebody to fix the roof or replace the roof, that's a big job. I mean, you have the fly-by-night folks that come knock on your door as soon as there's a storm in the area. I'm going to get your insurance to pay for it. And maybe they can. I don't know. I fell for that one time, never again. That's why I want to introduce you to Southern Exteriors. This is my guy. If I had to say, I got a guy for that, it would be Southern Exteriors for anything to do with the exterior of your home. Roofing, siding, gutters, windows, doors. They do all of that. They can build you a deck. They can screen in the deck that you already have. They can fix it. They can make it bigger, whatever. They can do it all. My guy is Southern Exteriors. So I want you to call them too. If you've been waiting to get some of these things done and you know they need to be done, do not wait. Don't wait till the spot in the ceiling is bigger and caused more damage. Get it fixed today. Don't wait until the roof is in such ill repair that it damages your biggest investment, your house. Get it replaced. Southern Exteriors is who I recommend you call. 877-9-SOUTHERN, southernexteriors.co, southernexteriors.co. 0% financing for 12 months or 10% off any job at Southern Exteriors.
Hey, Atlanta, it's Mark from the Safe House. And now the security riddle of the day. When times get tough, where do you keep your stuff? Answer, in a quality safe from the Safe House, of course. Don't go to a big box store and get a fake safe. That would be as effective as Joe Biden's fake border policy. For over 30 years, the Safe House has been providing the best quality safes on the market. Brands like Browning, Fort Knox, and Champion. And with the largest selection of safes on display in Georgia, we're confident we can help you pick the right safe to fit your needs. So drop by our huge showroom or go to atlantasafehouse.com.
No one plans on going to jail, but at A Second Chance Bail Bonds, we believe everyone deserves a second chance. That's the driving force behind everything we do. If you or a loved one has been arrested across town or across the country, you need help now. A Second Chance Bail Bonds works fast with bondsmen throughout Atlanta to help expedite release within hours. A Second Chance. It's better to know us and not need us than need us and not know us. Call A Second Chance 24/7 at 404-BAIL-OUT. That's 404-BAIL-OUT or online at atlbail.com.
Hey, it's a Kimmer. Okay, you're driving along. Suddenly you hear that horrible sound of metal and crunching. It's an accident. Even if it's a little minor fender bender, man, that could be a nightmare. First, obviously, take care of yourself. But before you make a deal with an insurance company or anybody else, call David Van Sant with Van Sant Law. You know why? Because he used to work for the insurance company, so he knows how to get the right settlement and right away. Van Sant Law. Don't forget, if you don't get paid, they don't get paid. Protecting your interests. Insurance is great, but it's complicated. 855-GA-INJURY or vansantlaw.com.
Are you tired of dealing with drafty, inefficient windows? Do you have certain rooms in the house that you can't keep cool in the summer or warm in the winter? Hi, I'm Dan Watkins with All Four Seasons Garage Entry Doors and Windows. It's time to upgrade these old windows. Replace them with double-pane, beautiful, energy-efficient windows. Your new windows will help you regulate a perfect temperature throughout your house. Start saving big money on your energy bills and improve the curb appeal of your home. Give us a call today at 770-517-7078.
You're setting a lot of goals for 2025. Big plans, new adventures, and Subaru of Gwinnett has the vehicles to get you there. The 2025 Subaru Forester is the same reliable SUV that earned the trust of drivers for decades, but with more adventurous style and more advanced safety technology. And you'll love exploring in the 2025 Subaru Crosstrek. It gives you up to 34 miles per gallon and the power of a 182 horsepower Subaru Boxer engine, adding plenty of go to your adventures. The 2025 Subaru Outback shares your adventurous spirit. With up to 32 miles per gallon and 9.5 inches of ground clearance, you can explore your world with confidence. And the 2025 Subaru Legacy is what happens when we put the best of Subaru into a sedan. The turbocharged 260 horsepower Subaru Boxer engine makes driving a thrill. Plus, every Subaru model comes equipped with standard symmetrical all-wheel drive. Love is out there. Find it at Subaru Gwinnett, Satellite Boulevard in Duluth, or shop online at SubaruofGwinnett.com.
The stories that matter to you. These are your Georgia headlines.
Today is Wednesday, January 29th. Here are your headlines. The first piece of legislation during the second term of President Donald Trump's tenure will be signed today as the Laken-Riley Act will go into effect after passing through both halls of Congress. The law, named after a nursing student killed on the University of Georgia campus, Laken-Riley, would require federal officials to detain immigrants without legal status accused of theft and crimes. Over here in Cobb County. Town Center at Cobb, well, they have had their power shut off. This after the Kennesaw Mall was closed and its electricity turned off by Georgia Power, which said the owners were highly delinquent in their bills. There is an issue with cars at Hartsfield-Jackson Airport, as Clayton County officials have pointed out that frustrated travelers arriving at Hartsfield-Jackson Airport have not been able to rent cars on a regular basis. They blame this on the winter weather and one-way trips. And the Atlanta Hawks, they go down to the 32-14 Rockets last night, tracked them down in the fourth quarter, but were not able to close the deal here at State Farm Arena. They lose 100-96. For Extra 106.3, I'm Carlos Medina.
7 o'clock hour is brought to you by Van Sant Law Group. If you're in an accident, make the right call. VanSantLaw.com. I've been getting a behind-the-scenes lesson about Captain America, and now I feel like it's something that I may want to watch.
It's interesting to watch. It's again, I was showing you the progression of his uniform and how during World War II it's all red, white, and blue, and here he is, and he's ready to fight Hitler, and we're going to go ahead and end the war. And that by the time you get later into the progression of the films, because of what he's been asked to do by the American government and the way he's been treated, he's a lot less as like Captain America.
Yeah.
In fact, like the outfit he's wearing by the end when you get to Endgame and everything else is more black than red, white, and blue.
It adds up. The addition works, which is encouraging to me because that's
why Anthony Mackie was bringing that up.
Right. But he should have been. If you didn't hear us earlier, he said, the character Captain America has less to do with America and all this, whatever. And then he clarified a little bit. He said, I'm proud to be an American. Here's what I was trying to say. And so, look, a lot of people are going to, give him a hard time. And I was too at first because I was like, wait a minute. Then when you understand, and it should have been clarified better. It's not like he did a great job of explaining it. Los has this morning.
But it's a decade worth of films that if you watch them, you recognize what's going on. And I get it. Some of this is bubblegum. I mean, when you watch a Marvel film, an Avengers film, there's a lot of CGI and stuff's blowing up, and you're all caught up in the whole. Yeah, all right, great. Let's see how we take out the aliens. But that character throughout all the films, along with the Tony Stark character, probably had the most interesting progression from what they were and what they become. And I think that's part of what made those movies kind of interesting.
404-741-1230. We got Charles in Canton, who has got a football analogy.
Charles,
to explain Donald Trump or to compare to Donald Trump, if you will. Charles, what's up, bud?
Good morning, guys. How y'all doing?
Good, Charles.
Yeah, I was thinking it was more like the 21-22 Bulldogs defense. You have all those great athletes on the field, and the Democrats are the helpless quarterbacks because they never know which one's going to hit them next.
That's right. That's exactly right. Charles, that's a great analogy. I love that. And that's what's happening with the Trump administration right now. I mean, they are rapid fire getting the things that they promised they were going to do done, or starting it. Or you have Trump throwing out the decoy, like, can I run for a third term? Can I do that? You have them melting down. If they're melting down over that, they're not paying attention to the things that matter to the American people that he can do without being hindered.
In a very Bulldog sense, you're getting under center, and you're looking over at Walker at right end, and you're going, okay, well, there's that guy. And then you kind of glance over at left end, and you're like, seriously, there's Nolan Smith over there? Oh, by the way, here's Jalen Carter right over the nose. I'm like, you're dealing with stuff all over the field that it just keeps coming at you. And I don't believe that this is not orchestrated for a minute. Every single day, something has dropped. Every single day.
Right. There has been a plan. They gave him months and months and months to put the people he wanted in place that he knew would accomplish the goals, unlike last time when he had to take people's advice on his cabinet picks and they did not work out. This time, he had a knowledge of how D.C. works. It wasn't like he was stepping in for the first time. And I think Kimber said it best that day of the inauguration. If you have, well, yeah, he did that too.
Oh, sorry.
Yes, it did kind of sound like that.
My normal Kimmer reaction.
You have to decipher it a little bit. But what he essentially said was,
"You're right, animal."
That's right. What he essentially said was that Trump wouldn't have been as successful in 2 consecutive terms as he was or will be in this term, because he's got the experience to go along with now resolve because they've come after him so hard.
Last night, you had the push of, well, if these federal workers are going to have an issue with returning to work, how about we offer them a buyout?
Yes, that's
and that was the newest one. Now,
I love it.
When that occurred last night, it was like the next gut punch, because all we had for the better part of about 48, 72 hours were federal employees going online and complaining about having to be back in the office. So Donald Trump steps forward and just says,
like a businessman,
we're going to offer you, if you want, we'll pay you through September, but then you're out.
2 million.
If you don't want to come back.
2 million federal workers have a chance to take a deferred resignation with a severance package of 8 months' pay and benefits. 10%, 5 to 10% of the workforce is estimated to quit, which would lead to $100 billion in savings. Usually when I hear that kind of number, $100 billion, it usually pisses me off because it's going to Ukraine or somewhere like that. This is actual savings. And all they have to do, is my understanding, that all you have to do, if you're in that group of 2 million federal workers and you're like, nope, I'm not going back in, I don't want to do this. And we had them, the article yesterday from Politico was like, I would leave, but I have nowhere to go. This gives you 8 months of paid time to work on your resume to find you a new job. That is whether you like him or not, you can hate Donald Trump. That is a peace agreement. That's a peace accord. That is a way for you to better yourself, to put yourself in a better situation, and America in a better situation too.
Big picture, the ninja stuff that's going on right now, what has that offer done? It has had people recognize that these, as oftentimes we'll point out, we're like, oh, they're all patriots. They work for the country. They're not.
I don't believe that for 1 second.
These are people that now, when they're considering what their options are, you recognize that civil servants ain't all that about service.
No.
That's what's going on.
Which is why there's so many people that doesn't do their job.
And how do you eat away at the deep state? You keep cracking on it.
Yeah.
Yesterday, that offer was an outright attack on the deep state. That if you believe that you're entitled to the power that you have, and the presidents are temporary, but I've been here for 20 years, I am the government. Well, what happens when they tell you, all right, we're going to inconvenience you by making you go back to work, but if you want, we'll give you severance through September and you can move on. The fact that you're pondering it lets you know about your dedication to the country.
That's exactly right. And then on top of that, these people cannot say, he just kicked me out. He made me come back. I didn't want to. I don't know how you don't look at this and go, man, this is the parachute of a lifetime. Just think, let's say you hated your job.
Sure, yeah.
And you're like, I've got to get out of here.
You're JoJo, and you're like, I can't stand
work with these clowns.
These guys are fascists. They're nuts. They have me come in at 5 a.m. They work me to the bone. Suddenly, ownership comes to JoJo and says, we're going to pay you through September.
Olive branch.
End of September.
Olive branch is what that is. That is giving you the opportunity.
He's shooting up finger rockets right now. Yeah. He's like, yeah.
I'm out of here. I have a friend right now. I talked about her yesterday, that her company was bought out, and she hates the new company. She hates her job. She is frantically trying to find a new gig. If they were to come to her and say, we'll give you 8 months.
8 months severance.
She would feel like she just won the Georgia lottery. If that were to happen. It's not going to. But these people, they hit the lottery with this offer. They don't want to be there. We don't want you there. It's a win for everybody.
And by the way, I have been at a radio company where, as they started to terminate people, severance was 60 days.
Sometimes I've seen it be none.
Like that is,
I have seen it be 0.
Like that was pretty generous when they were like, you get 2 months, here's 60 days of severance. Donald Trump, in the interest of saving money and rebuilding this government, will pay you into September. That's pretty generous. Like
very generous.
8 months to figure out what you want to do, because apparently you don't want to serve the country.
You don't want to serve. You hate working. You hate working for Donald Trump. So don't. And you have a golden parachute. Take the opportunity to use this 8 months to find you a job in the private sector if you can, if you're able to compete.
I love it. If you can.
Look, we know.
Let's be honest. If you want to battle, you got to battle. You got to bring it.
And it's not in their DNA to battle very much. It's how do I find me a bloated government job that I can just sit at a desk and not do anything and get paid for the rest of my life and get some sort of retirement.
I know it's going to feel very strange for the federal employee to recognize that your employment, as we are used to for the better part of 20 years, is based off of ratings and revenue. When you don't have to worry about either of those two, you're NPR. Just do what you want to.
Or CNN, if you heard Donald Trump in his speech when he said, I heard I got a compliment on CNN. And he's like, now nobody was watching, so I can't confirm it. I don't know that it really happened, but that's what I hear. Although Stephen Miller, he went on CNN and he went at Jake Tapper pretty good.
This was so great. Let's finish off this segment with this. So this was a discussion. And when I tell you that so much of this is poll tested, like you and I will refer to them as illegal aliens. Okay, poll testing, the left does not. They're migrants. When they come up with the work they do, they will always point out, well, these are jobs that Americans don't want to do. They've poll tested all of this language. So take a listen. Here is Jake Tapper. He's talking to Stephen Miller, who is posing outside of the White House. And Stephen Miller is clarifying who is in this country and what they're actually doing. Listen to the premise that Jake Tapper puts forth because it's straight out of the playbook.
In many cases, as you know, these migrants do jobs many Americans do not want to do. So how does President Trump make sure that the effort to deport people who are not in this country legally doesn't end up hurting Americans who want safe borders, absolutely, but also don't want to see even more higher prices in groceries?
Well, I mean, I'm sure it's not your position, Jake, you're just asking the question, that we should supply America's food with exploitative illegal alien labor. I obviously don't think that's what you're implying. Only 1% of alien workers in the entire country work in agriculture. The top destination for illegal aliens are large cities like New York, like Los Angeles, and small industrial towns, of course, all across the heartland, as we've seen with the Biden floods. Mm-hmm. None of those illegal aliens are doing farm work. Those 30,000 illegal aliens that Joe Biden dumped into Springfield.
I'm talking about the ones that are.
No, but I'm explaining this. It's important to understand.
No, you're kind of changing the subject. I mean, I'm talking about the ones.
I will give me 30 minutes. I'll go as deep as you want on this.
We don't have 30 minutes.
Audience.
I don't have I'm talking about the ones that work in the agriculture industry.
I'm
you can come back and we can talk about the ones in the cities. I swear.
I'll do the whole answer. The illegal aliens that Joe Biden brought into our country are not full stop doing farm work. They are not. The illegal aliens he brought in from Venezuela, from Haiti, from Nicaragua, they are not doing farm work. They're in our cities collecting welfare.
Damn.
Talking about a takedown.
You want to talk about Jake Tapper trying to steer it back to his premise, and Stephen Miller flat out tells him the ones that have gone in here in the last 4 years, 1%. It's like the rest of them are on the dole.
The days of just lying and some member of the cabinet, some member of the administration standing back and taking it is over. You saw it with J.D. Vance. You've seen it now with Stephen Miller. You saw it yesterday with Carolyn Leavitt. She took so many people down just like Stephen Miller did.
This, when I talked about the new right 3 years ago, this is what I was talking about. The gloves are off. We're being honest because we have the high ground. We can say these things. As soon as Jake Tapper, well, what if this dries up the cost of goods? And as Stephen Miller said, I know you're not alluding to, and as he pointed out, you are alluding to indentured servitude.
Right, exactly.
You're taking advantage of people.
I know that's not your position. I love the way.
I know it's not your position.
Because he spun it around, making him be on defense.
Exactly.
That was the point.
Burned him.
Yeah, that's exactly right. When we come back, Trump's press secretary explains the drones over New Jersey. Kinda. Next on Extra 106.3.
The latest sports news, powered by 680 The Fan, and driven to extra listeners by RBM of Atlanta in Sandy Springs, Atlanta's Mercedes-Benz connection since 1964.
Another loss for the Atlanta Hawks last night, making it their 6th straight. This time it comes at the hands of the Houston Rockets with a score of 100-96. Marking the third game in a row, the Hawks haven't scored 100 points. Trae Young and Dyson Daniels returned to the lineup, where Young scored 21, had 9 assists and 8 turnovers, and Daniels scored 12 with 10 boards and 4 steals. The Hawks' record moves to 22-25 as they enter a 3-game road stint starting Thursday against the number 1 team in the East, the Cleveland Cavaliers. For Extra 106.3 Sports, I'm Joe Virgin.
You know the old expression, I love it when a plan comes together? Well, with our First Liberty Notes, this has been so true. Hello, I'm Brant Frost, founder of First Liberty Building and Loan. You hear about our family's company all the time right here on the station. For over 30 years, we've been the local lender who said yes when the big banks say no. A couple of months ago, we opened up our First Liberty Notes program to Main Street investors just like you, and the response has been just incredible. Folks from airline pilots to physicians to even pastors are now earning 8 to 13% interest rates while helping to fuel the growth of local small businesses. If you're a qualified investor with a minimum of $25,000, you too could be earning 8 to 13% interest. We'd love to have you join our First Liberty family today. Go to firstlibertyga.com and see if our First Liberty Notes are right for you. Go to firstlibertyga.com. That's firstlibertyga.com.
First Liberty Notes are not obligations of or guaranteed by any financial institution and are not secured by any collateral. They are not FDIC insured or guaranteed by any government agency. You could lose money. SEC accredited investor status must be verified. Securities not offered in any jurisdiction in which it is unlawful.
Military veterans are eager to transfer their skills and experiences to civilian life, but lack trusted connections to expedite their path to success. The civilian world can be confusing, and veterans do not need to journey through it alone. When you reach out to the Warrior Alliance, we will guide you to the best-in-class resources that can lead you toward renewed purpose after serving our nation. Find out why thousands of warriors have found success after service after engaging with the Warrior Alliance. For assistance, go to thewarrioralliance.org or call 404-210-1776.
Go beyond just a baseball game with your Atlanta Braves and check out Truist Park's Ballpark Tour. See the ballpark like never before and explore the franchise's rich history with artifacts, exhibits, and more, led by tour guides who will take you to places behind the scenes that most fans have never even seen before, including the press box, premium club spaces, and of course, step onto the field where your favorite Braves players battle it out during the season. And each tour comes with a complimentary player chain necklace. Visit Braves.com/tours to purchase your tickets today.
Fly ball to deep right by Marcel. Hello, Chop House.
And did you know Truist Park can host your next event? As a year-round facility, we host private events ranging from corporate meetings, trade shows, team building events, holiday parties, rehearsal dinners, you name it, Truist Park can host it. Visit Braves.com/events to get started on creating an experience like never before with one of Truist Park's unique venues. Atlanta Braves Baseball. We are Braves country.
Hi, my name is Steve from Marietta, and we hired ATL Turf Co. to build our dream backyard golf setup. They installed a large 4-hole putting green, a sand bunker, a short game area, and did a full conversion to artificial grass around the pool with decorative retaining walls. ATL Turf Co. was really creative. They were efficient. The installation was a breeze. Price was completely reasonable, and I definitely appreciated their communication throughout the project. I would definitely recommend ATL Turf Co. to anybody thinking about doing a backyard makeover. You can check them out online right now at atlturfco.com.
Who doesn't want a great smile? The world seems brighter because it is. Hey, it's a Kimmer. How's it going? You know, that's only one reason to see my dentist, Dr. Dina Giesler at Atlanta Smiles. The other reason, of course, is to take care of your teeth, or they're going to make your life miserable. We all know that. But when's the last time you were smiling before you walked in the door like me? Because I know Dr. Dina and her staff are the happiest Kimmer babes you ever saw. We're going to fix me up, and I always take the gas. They tell me my best stories come out that way. And you can actually get a doggy right there, napping in my lap, a little doggy. I said, go ahead, work away. Dr. Dina's a Navy vet, ranked a master dentist, which only 1% can say. She's been doing veneers since before anybody even knew what that was. My first visit was 30 years ago. Cosmetic dentistry, cleaning, bridges, crowns, especially keeping your teeth and gums healthy to last as long as you do. Veterans automatic 10% discount. Just tell them when you call. Atlanta Smiles, 404-262-7733. It's atlantasmiles.com. Your new smile's waiting for you. atlantasmiles.com. Tell them the Kimmer sent you. Ask for the doggy. atlantasmiles.com.
Extra 106.3 is the only station in Atlanta to bring you the legend Neil Vortz, a live and local news talk show on your ride in, and the Kimmer Show every afternoon. Be here at 3 for the Kimmer, Pete, and Flounder, only on Extra 106.3 and the Extra app.
So the drones over New Jersey that they couldn't explain were authorized, at least many of them, by the FAA. Now, I can't say that I'm shocked by this. Donald Trump had said, oh, they know what's going on. Now, interesting, though, that he even dialed back his explanation a little bit, and I understand why. But the Biden administration couldn't even be honest about that. So what I take away from the statement that Caroline Leavitt made was the FAA approved the drones that were flying. As it became more of a story, amateur drone pilots, if you will, would put their drones up there and try to figure out what was going on, try to be a part of the story. It comes down to me that it was technology that the United States developed, and they were testing it over military installations because they can test it over military installations.
I believe what Jesse Kelly, who you can hear, 6 to 9 on our airwaves, and a couple of other people had brought up as far as the leaks they got. When Caroline Leavitt told us all, first off, Peter Doocy was the very first person from Fox News who asked Donald Trump, hey, can you explain this to us? And he said, I'm going to look into it. I'll get you the information. So the first time that your new press secretary gets out there, she makes it a point. I'm going to tell you what I can tell you. I think she told us about 70% truth.
Yeah.
Which was authorized by the FAA to fly. The word that was from Jesse Kelly and others was that there was some sort of threat out there, and they were on an operation to see if it was a legitimate threat.
Not surprised at all by that. That wouldn't surprise me in the least.
But they didn't want to tell Americans because the way that Jesse Kelly brought it up and the way that it kind of was spun was you had a shipment that was supposed to include some nuclear-grade material, and it went missing. So these drones with this sophisticated
technology
ability
or whatever,
to check out and to look into this stuff were all in the air on the East Coast trying to locate where this shipment was. Now, in the interest of national security, you don't tell anybody that.
No, of course not.
But that makes sense to me that we had a giant drone operation in the interest of protecting the homeland.
Authorized.
But we just didn't get anything for the Biden administration at all.
Authorized by the FAA for research purposes.
Research purposes. That's a funny way of putting it.
Absolutely it is. That's code for probably what you just laid out. And how do we not create a panic? Let's just say we're researching it. We're figuring it out. I don't care that she doesn't give me 100% because national security is important. I understand that, and I'm okay with that. I don't feel like I'm going to be in the know on everything. There's all kinds of things that happen every day in America that we will never know about. But the fact that they go, it wasn't the enemy flying above.
That was a big deal.
That was the thing for me.
And it wasn't aliens.
Like, okay. Yeah,
they're like, it was us. They were like, it was us, and then it created a stir, and enthusiasts also started flying their stuff. Here's what was going on, because the regular drone operator, the enthusiast who was trying to fly their drones up to these other drones, and they would say how my drone lost power, it can't fly as long, these things were sitting in the air for 5 or 6 hours at a time. Them's military grade. Like that
of course it is.
You had your own thing, and it could not compete with what we had up there, which is reassuring.
I've tried to read about the Replicator program as much as I can, which is this new drone program that the United States has been working on, and they hope to deploy it. And everything that I've read said they hope to deploy it to Taiwan to protect against a potential invasion from China, which President Xi of China has said, I'm going to do this before 2027. So when does the Replicator roll out? Right about 2027. So that's when I start putting the math together. It's how do we prepare this? How do we utilize this technology? How do we get efficient with the technology? I remember being on a ship, USS South Carolina. They rolled out a new piece of technology. It took training to figure out how to use it. I mean, we had trainers on board. This is what it's supposed to do. This is how you get it to do what it's supposed to do. But it took time. It wasn't like you just knew how to use it immediately.
And it's speculation by Jesse Kelly and others, but it does make sense.
But the math adds up.
That your government launched an operation in the interest of whether it's an exercise or, hey, there's a threat and we need to have a show of I would just say intimidation, not a show of force. Wasn't like you fired anything.
No, but you want people to see it.
But you showed everyone that you're able to deploy technology that can help protect the homeland. As much as we hear about Donald Trump wanting an Iron Dome, okay, that's different. Israel is a smaller country. You know, it's got size to it, of course, but it's not like we're talking about the United States.
Yeah.
If you can use drones to defend the homeland in the way that they were able to, or the way that they exercised, okay, that is your Iron Dome.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That is using our technology to protect the United States of America. I'm 100% in favor of that. I bet there's not an American alive that would say, nah, I don't want that. Of course you do. Of course you do. There was an interesting thing that happened to me when I was in the Navy. Lieutenant Nevels, God rest his soul, good man from Kentucky. He was the CO, if you will, the commanding officer of a battalion of Navy SEALs. And he planned and plotted. He showed me probably 4 or 5 medals and accommodations, the certificate that goes along with them, and it said exercises. He guaranteed me that not one of them was an exercise.
Yeah.
It's the same kind of thing.
Yeah. It's an operation, and it will never be acknowledged.
That's right. Yeah.
And that's part of what goes on.
And I get it. I'm not looking for 100% transparency if it damages national security. But when you tell me we don't know what's going on, that makes you look like you have no clue how to run, how to protect, or how to be the commander in chief.
Well, that was the fault of the Biden administration, where you lack the ability to grab the reins of the horse. Had you pointed out, even in the midst of what was going on off the coast of New Jersey, or just afterwards, and said, that was us, we were conducting some exercises, you know, but it wasn't the Chinese.
Nothing to worry about.
You know what? Yeah. At that point, hey, you're in charge. Like, this is a show of strength. And yet you couldn't even do that. Like, how tone deaf are you?
So immediately when that was happening, I thought it was the Chinese. I was like, they flew a balloon all the way across the United States. They're seeing what they can get away with. So immediately, how could you not, after seeing that happen under Joe Biden, how could you not look at what was happening over New Jersey and go, I don't feel good about this. And I didn't. I never felt good about it. And to this minute, you know, and the stories that Jesse Kelly has shared and the you know, the intel that he's gathered on it, I still don't feel great about it, knowing that there was some possibility of some nuclear
Did we lose
waste.
something and we got to find it?
Absolutely, dude. That didn't make me feel good. But at least I feel like the adults are back in the room and are saying, we got it. You can not be as concerned, not be as worried.
It was reassuring for them to say, that's
word.
us.
Yes, right.
It's us. And by the way, and again, it sounds so flimsy when you're like, the FAA allowed it. Like, well, they didn't have much of a choice.
Right.
We were conducting an operation.
That's right. We told them what we were doing, and then that's why they allowed it. When we come back on Extra 106.3, after a Neil Boortz report, the Fox News update, in her first press conference, Carolyn Levitt gave them all they could handle, minus the binder. Next on Extra.
Time for the Boortz Report, exclusively on Atlanta's only conservative news and talk station, Extra 106.3.
Well, let me start this rant by being clear. I do not like unions, especially government employee unions. At the top of that list is the teachers' unions, perhaps the most dangerous, union in America. Now, RMG Research is a national public opinion research firm. Scott Rasmussen, maybe you've heard of him, they released a poll last week. 1/2 of all federal government employees plan to resist any administration policy put forward by Donald Trump. 1/2. They say that if Trump issues an executive order with which they disagree, they will ignore that executive order and do just what they think is best. Now, most of these government employees are of what party? Yep, you guessed it, Democrats. Imagine you take over a private sector company as the new CEO, and your job is to turn that company around because it's obviously failing. But your employees, who are union members and really can't be fired, or at the best it's very difficult, want you to fail. They do not want you to succeed in turning this company around. This is what Donald Trump is facing. Employees who can just ignore what he wants them to do or actively work against him. This is called the deep state. And this is why power needs to be returned to the states from Washington and Washington unions. Trump's idea of getting rid of the useless FEMA, a great start. Neil Bortz, Extra 106.3.
Atlanta's only conservative news and talk station. Extra 106.3 FM.
Its technology is not just intelligent, it's thoughtful. Its cabin is not just spacious, but sensuous and stylish. It's indulgent yet versatile. And its electrified performance can energize you with every drive. Get an exceptional offer on the 2025 Mercedes-Benz GLC 300 SUV. Just $519 per month for 39 months with $48.33 due at signing, exclusively from RBM of Atlanta in Sandy Springs. Contact RBM of Atlanta for details and see how to qualify. We'd love to welcome you to the RBM of Atlanta family. Special lease rate available only to qualified customers exclusively from Mercedes-Benz Financial Service through RBM of Atlanta, Sandy Springs through January 31st, 2025. Excludes tax, tag, title, and Georgia Lemon Law fees. Contact RBM of Atlanta for details on this and other exciting offers. Visit us at rbmofatlanta.com or call us at 770-390-0700 for details.
Lee Brandt Jewelry and Watch Company, where quality and value make the difference. Locally owned and located in Sandy Springs, offering you the finest selection of unique diamonds, sapphires, rubies, and emerald jewelry, as well as other fine gemstones. Lee Brandt Jewelry and Watches has been servicing Rolex watches for over 30 years, and their Rolex-trained watchmaker will service your watch in their state-of-the-art Rolex service center in their store. Lee Brandt uses only genuine Rolex parts, and their estimates are free. Drop by Lee Brandt in the Trader Joe's Shopping Center in Sandy Springs or visit LeeBrandt.com.
One of my favorite Babylon Bee headlines just now said, "Democracy falls as the man who received the most votes becomes president," ladies and gentlemen.
The Kimmer Show, every afternoon from 3 to 6 p.m. on Extra 106.3 and the Extra app. WFOM and W292EV Marietta, a Dickey Broadcasting Station. The 8 a.m. hour is brought to you by Central Heating and Air.
Americans' overall health is in a grievous condition. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. That's what Robert F. Kennedy Jr. plans to tell senators in 2 hours in the first of 2 days of confirmation hearings for the controversial Trump nominee to lead Health and Human Services.
There's already dozens of people lining up, supporters of RFK Jr. outside this hearing room where he will face the Senate Finance Committee.
Fox's Lucas Tomlinson reads more of what will be Kennedy's opening statement.
News reports have claimed that I am anti-vaccine or anti-industry. Well, I am neither. I am pro-safety. I worked for years to raise awareness about the mercury and toxic chemicals in fish. That didn't make me anti-fish. All of my kids are vaccinated, and I believe vaccines have a critical role in healthcare.
Well, a lot of Democrats oppose Kennedy, like Senator Brian Schatz.
He wants to use Americans as lab rats in a national experiment.
RFK Jr.'s cousin, Caroline Kennedy, warns senators in a letter he's a predator. In his comments, skeptical of a vaccine should be disqualifying. The former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff singled out at the Pentagon.
General Mark Milley. He had his security detail taken away last night, and he could lose a star in retirement if it is determined that he was undermining the chain of command during the first Trump administration.
Fox's Peter Doocy at the White House. President Biden gave General Milley a preemptive pardon. President Trump's offering buyouts to federal workers as he orders them back to offices. Resign by next Thursday, and they'll be paid through September.
The White House sent the offer out to roughly 2 million government employees, and the administration expects 5 to 10% of them to quit, which officials say could save taxpayers up to $100 billion per year.
Fox's Brooks Singman. A White House plan to freeze federal spending and grants and review it all has been blocked by a federal judge. Democrats say it cuts off important funding for a lot of programs. Senator Amy Klobuchar tells Fox.
It's chaos, and it is unnecessary.
Another Trump executive order expected today would prohibit federal funding from schools that teach critical race theory or radical gender ideology. America's listening to Fox News.
When you hear the term living better, what do you think about? More money? A bigger house? Maybe a yacht? What about how you feel physically? How you wake up each day? How you sleep? What activities you can and cannot do? When you feel good, life is good. So if pain is affecting your life, see how Relief Factor can help. Relief Factor is a daily supplement that fights pain naturally. Developed by doctors, it doesn't just mask pain temporarily. It helps reduce or even eliminate pain. In fact, the longer you take it, the more effective it is. So give their 3-week quick start a try. It's only $19.95, less than $1 a day. And it just takes a phone call, 1-800-4-RELIEF. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF. Wherever you're hurting, in 3 weeks or even days, Relief Factor can give you a chance to rediscover the true meaning of living better again. Visit ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4-RELIEF. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF.
Wake up with the Morning Extra on Extra 106.3 Atlanta.
I want to start this hour by giving you information that will be encouraging to you, because there's all kinds of places that you can find information. Most of it is discouraging. This is not.
You're good enough. You're smart enough. Doggone it.
People like me. Yeah, it's Stuart Smalley, right?
That's right.
From Saturday Night Live. I've used this stat incorrectly. I've just learned that I used the stat incorrectly.
Wait, so you're admitting wrongdoing?
Yes,
I
let me tell
like
you,
this.
buddy.
I told you, I was in favor of the Patriot Act, okay? Not everything I'm going to say is going to be correct.
Me too. I was in favor of it too. You ain't doing nothing wrong. You ain't got nothing to worry about. Boy, was I wrong.
I'm not a terrorist. It's fine.
How off base were we? Because I still have done nothing wrong that I know of, or that I'm afraid of someone finding out. And yet the Patriot Act still scares the daylights out of me.
Yeah, now that Alexa listens in on me.
Everything.
That's right. Give me that tinfoil hat, Joe.
That's right.
Give
Where's
me
it
the
at?
tinfoil hat. Thank you. Thank you.
We'll get that put on. Look at there. He actually has one. That's the crazy thing about it.
Thank you, Joe.
This stat is the one that I've used many times incorrectly. Over 50% of marriages end in divorce. Not true anymore. Brad Wilcox is a professor at the University of Virginia. He runs the Family Studies Institute, and he is a fellow at the American Enterprise Institute, which I read those folks a lot, which is where I ran across this. Nowadays, marriage is lasting better. We're up to marriages making it by 60%. Divorce down 40% since 1980. Marriage is hard, but the challenges facing American couples and married couples are not destroying the marriages like they used to. And what brought this up, what got me thinking about this is when I went back, because I had flagged this. You and I were talking about something that we won't talk about now, but some of the things that you and your wife are deciding, just life decisions that everybody runs across.
We're trying to move into a different school district, and that's the craziness of everything that's going on.
And those are stressful times. Those are stressful decisions. And in a good marriage, like you and your sweet wife have, it doesn't change the dynamic. And there's going to be bumps in the road. There's going to be things that challenge you, and you have to work through together. You have to lock arms, husband and wife, and work through. The fact that marriage is now surviving at 60% is just another thing that encourages me about the future of America, specifically with what Donald Trump has started and that I believed was happening beforehand. I remember talking about church. People say, church attendance is way down. Not in my church, man. I go and it's packed. We got like 5,000 people that go there. And every service is full. I think people are coming to church more often now than they have in the last 20 or 30 years.
The family unit is the basis by which, in my opinion, everything launches that's productive. When you have, there was a moment with my 14-year-old the other day, and I had called my wife, and we're joking around on the phone. And we're goofing off. I'm making some jokes at her. She's making some jokes at me. And I hang up the phone, and my wife tells me later that, she's listening on, it's on the car speaker, so she hears everything.
Yeah.
And she tells my wife, when I get married, I should probably marry my best friend like you did.
That's awesome, dude.
And that was
a compliment.
And that was the way she looked at it was, wow, this is the relationship y'all have. This is how y'all treat one another, where I mean, we can go at it like cats and dogs, but there's a level of respect there. And I think when you bring up the idea that marriages are now at a 60% clip, I don't want to say that it's because I think we've had trying times, but
I think it's completely that.
I think that's a big portion of it, that economically we're starting to recognize that if you're trying to do it on your own, that's going to be really hard. You got to do it as a family.
You see it all the time. Men who are in, committed marriages earn more money. Women who are in committed marriages are put in a better situation financially as well. It is beneficial to get married, buy a home, have children, but not just for you. It's not just for you. Like that's a great thing for you, but it's great for the country. And it's been proven over and over and over again. When we have stable families in the country does better.
My wife and I, and this was brought up yesterday, we were talking to this other couple, and for the first time in probably a good 3 or 4 years, my wife is terrible at math. I can say this very honestly. She's awful at math.
I struggle with decimals and fractions. I can relate.
Every single time we bring up our anniversary, I know how many years it's been. She's guessing. And she flat out told the person, yes, she's like, well, yeah, we've been married. And she was making a joke at the time. She's like, yeah, we're doing this and we've been married 18 years. And it was the first time in several years where I'm like, you nailed it. You actually know how long we've been married.
You got it right.
But she was using it more as a point of pride. Now, again, making jokes about her and I, but that's the deal. It's like, I think about it, and I always heard Neil Bortz bring this up when he was, on the air all the time. A long-term marriage is your wealth.
That is exactly right.
It is your happiness. It is the thing that you can brag about. You're not going to brag about, hey, I was, and at least in my opinion, because I'm not going to be a vice president of anything.
Sure.
But you don't ever end up bragging about, well, I was the vice president of this company. Well, you can, but it feels hollow.
Yeah, it does. Who cares?
Tell me about your kids and your family.
Yeah.
That's your wealth.
That's exactly right. You couldn't argue it even if I wanted to, and wouldn't, because it's correct.
Write that down, Joe. Your kids and your family, that's your wealth.
That way, when you and Cassandra have become official, with a wedding ring official. I mean, I know that's way ahead.
You're putting a lot of pressure on the young man.
I'm just telling you.
He's been dating for 3 months.
Right. 4 months.
4 months. Okay. At least he's counting.
I'm just saying, hypothetically, you get to that point. It's going to be the best thing that's ever happened to you.
Oh, yeah, I've no doubt. My parents have been married. It's going to be 29 years this year.
It's amazing.
See, impressive.
And my wife and I 24 this year.
And I'll tell you, Joe, you can be whatever captain of industry that you want to be. Your employees don't show up to your hospital room on your deathbed. Your family does.
That's right. That's exactly right. And let me tell you, it is when I lost my dad, which is, I think about him every day, but the amount of people that showed up to his funeral.
And that's wealth.
Holy cow. I was blown away, man. I was moved to, it was an emotional day anyway, so you could cry a lot to begin with. But sitting back after the service had been done and when now you're just in, okay, it's time to move forward. You take that big breath and you exhale, and my sweet wife was there to, because she was so good about it. My daddy died on our anniversary.
Yeah. When you've talked about that before, I'm like, woo.
Dude, it was the greatest day of my life and the worst day of my life at the exact same time, if that can be a thing. And she was so good. She said, you know what? We have 2 things to celebrate now, a great life lived and a beautiful marriage. She handled it so well. But we're sitting back, taking that breath in, trying to just think about it, try to process it all. And the thing that hit me and put a lump in my throat was how many people showed up, because I didn't know. I mean, how do you know? I don't know.
Yeah, you don't know.
I've been to plenty of funerals, even family members and friends. And there's a smattering of people. The outpouring. I couldn't believe it. People that he went to middle school with, that I'd never met a day in my life and probably never heard their name mentioned, came up to me and was like, me and your daddy were real good friends. He was a good man. And this is at Valley Point Elementary School, or Valley Point High School at the time.
Do you want the poignant moment, or do you want the frivolous moment? I'm going to give you a choice. You can have you're going to get both.
Let's start with a poignant moment, and then we'll end on a laugh.
So when my grandfather passed after spending as many years as he did with the San Antonio Fire Department, and we would go to all of the the events that would happen. There was always events at different parks. The union was very active, and he was very involved in it. It wasn't until he passed, when we're driving in that car, and we're driving by all these different firehouses, and young men are out there saluting him. I was like, oh.
Dude, it just
hits you in a way.
Chill up your spine.
Like this 80-year-old man who spent 30-some years with that fire department, and young men are like, acknowledge that dude.
I can see it on your face right now. It's
God.
still to this moment hits you right now.
Oh, hits me every time.
It's hard not to, man, because life is precious. And it's all started by the importance of marriage and the fact that they're being successful more now than in the last probably 50 years. Now to the funny moment.
All right, so the frivolous funny moment. Then you took part in this the other day.
Okay.
You saw the tweet where I said how I lost my grandfather on September 11th.
Yes. And I laugh knowing what's coming. So if you don't know, you'll find out why I would be laughing about something like that.
And then I pointed out he was in Texas in 2004.
Yeah, that's right.
The whole bit is that, when you have somebody's like, I lost my family member on 9/11, everyone's like immediately sympathy automatically out of nowhere.
Such a national tragedy.
In 2004, and he was in Texas. And I was comparing it to people that when they passed after January 6th, and it was, I can't believe we lost this officer on January 6th. And yes, whenever you lose somebody, it's a tragedy. But it didn't have anything to do with January 6th. In the same way that my grandfather didn't have anything to do with the terrorist acts of 9/11.
Right. But you can use it, and nobody will say a dang word because they're afraid to.
I lost my grandfather on 9/11. Oh, my God, that's awful. In Texas in 2004.
Had nothing to do. And then all of a sudden people are like,
so that's a frivolous moment.
No, I know, but you even knowing, like, when you hear what it is that you've led people to, they're still trying to do the math in their head, making sure they're not laughing prematurely.
Am I supposed to laugh?
Yeah, I'm not sure how to handle this.
Salute?
Dude,
how do I handle this?
But I don't know what to do.
But yeah, no, family is family. And so it is encouraging to hear those numbers on what is going on with marriage in this country.
Next thing that's encouraging is when you watch Carolyn Levitt, the new press secretary.
Superhero.
Dude, she deserves a cape. She deserves like some sort of staff and a tiara or something. What did Wonder Woman wear?
Gandalf?
What Wonder Woman?
Not that Gandalf makes a lot of sense to you, but still, she's got a staff and her place of power.
I've heard of Gandalf. I know is it Harry Potter?
Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings, that's what I meant.
I'm sorry, Joe.
I misspoke. What do you want from me? No, I'm thinking more like a Wonder Woman thing, like that gold tiara with the star.
Okay,
in the
yeah.
She
that was the first one that actually upset me. that hit me at my core.
That hit you.
What, the Gandalf?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Okay. I didn't mean to let you down. I'm gonna work harder to
watch movies.
Yeah. I mean, Marvel's fine, whatever. Harry Potter, who cares?
Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings, the masterpiece that is Peter Jackson's trilogy.
It's an epic.
Yes, I know.
The best movies ever made.
There's like 3 of them, right?
Yeah. They're very good. And I'm not a big fan of that genre, but they're very good.
I remember reading the books when I was in school.
Okay.
I do remember
that's how Gandalf kind of like, ooh.
Yes, The Hobbit, absolutely. Is it J.R. Tolkien who wrote those? Yeah. It was R.R. Sorry. Isn't there like a faith element to him and what he does? That because I remember reading that and them telling me this in school. Like, you realize that there's a religious
interwoven.
Yeah, for sure. Anyway,
the belief in humanity, essentially.
Carolyn Levitt, she did something that I know Front Office Los was hitting the seals.
Yes. I was the monkey with the symbols yesterday
because of something that he's brought up since before the election happened, and definitely many times since the inauguration, that we would love America to be truthful again. And Carolyn Levitt actually addressed that out of the gate in our first ever press conference.
A question that we've asked your predecessors of both parties in this job. When you're up here in this briefing room speaking to the American public, do you view yourself and your role as advocating on behalf of the president or providing the unvarnished truth that is, not to lie, not to obfuscate to the American people?
I commit to telling the truth from this podium every single day. I commit to speaking on behalf of the President of the United States. That is my job. And I will say it's very easy easy to speak truth from this podium when you have a president who is implementing policies that are wildly popular with the American people, and that's exactly what this administration is doing. It's correcting the lies and the wrongs of the past 4 years, many of the lies that have been told to your faces in this very briefing room. I will not do that. But since you brought up Truth Seek, I would like to point out, while I vow to provide the truth from this podium, we ask that all of you in this room hold yourselves to that same standard. We know for a fact there have been lies that have been pushed by many legacy media outlets in this country about this president, about his family, and we will not accept that. We will call you out when we feel that your reporting is wrong or there is misinformation about this White House. So, yes, I will hold myself to the truth, and I expect everyone in this room to do the same.
Bam! Dude, I feel like, is Emerald? Bam! The old, the guy that used to have the TV show, the chef. Because she did exactly what I wanted her to do, exactly what needed to be said so many times. We know that Binder lied to us. We know that
Binder,
yeah, Miss Binder lied to us. You know, she lied all the time because it was written in her book, and she went to the page.
Whatever the answer was, that's what she gave,
and it was there was never an honest moment. I didn't feel like there was ever an honest moment in that briefing room. So they called out the Biden administration for lying, but then the home run was when she called out the legacy media and said, we know you lie too, and we're not putting up with that either.
Does this not point out the difference in KJP, who, again, she inherited the position, and she ended up working from a binder.
Every day.
Every day. It was always, let me turn to the page that I need to give this answer so that I can give you the stock answer. Caroline Leavitt, friend of the show, been on the show, man, she just ran. There wasn't one time she looked at a note. She was like, I got it. I'm dialed in, and let's go.
Jackie Heinrich posted on social media. I saw it on X this morning. She is a reporter for Fox News Channel and is in the White House briefing room anytime there's a press conference. She said the thing that she was most impressed by is that she called every person by name. Not with a binder, not with cheat sheets, not with a crib sheet. She called every reporter by name because she had studied.
That's the deal. You have to practice. You have to know. And we talked about what's going to happen where the legacy media is going to be placed in less places of prominence within that room. But you still need to know who is in that room. And so when she's calling on individuals, remember, when you call on somebody by name, it does personalize it. That's part of what made things fun with KJP and Peter Doocy, because she knew, I got to deal with Peter. Peter from Fox News, he's going to ask some crazy questions. To a lesser extent, we had it with Jim Acosta and CNN from the time before when the previous Trump administration.
Formerly of CNN.
Formerly of CNN. We'll get a chance to get into that, too. But when you can point out the person, it creates this personified answer of I'm giving you individualized information based on your question.
And that I respect you enough
to know your name.
Know your name.
Yep. Huge.
Can I tell you, this is way off the subject, off the topic. Taylor Swift is a genius at that. Taylor Swift, anytime anybody meets Taylor Swift, backstage, in a meet and greet, especially if it's someone that she's going to have a professional relationship with, she knew them by name. She sent handwritten notes by name. It was so impressive. She was a machine. I don't know that she still does that because it's gotten so big, but at the time when she was just merely a country artist, when she was just performing in country music, that was her calling card, that she knew every person's name.
You want to go old?
Changes everything.
Write that down, Joe. Handwritten thank you letters.
Telling you.
Short. 2 sentences, thank you.
Not a text, not an email. Thank you card, a handwritten note. Goes miles and miles and miles. And now, even more because nobody does it.
And Joe, I lost my grandfather on 9/11.
Do not laugh, Joey.
Stop smiling, Joe. You're smiling, Joe. I can see it through that mustache.
It's hurtful.
Getting horny now.
Oh, my God.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, my God. Brings us back to earth. 8 o'clock hours brought to you by Central Heating and Air Conditioning, your Atlanta carrier experts. 770-GET-HEAT. CentralHeat.com is their website. They're doing the 28th annual Winter White Sale right now, where you can save up to $2,000 on a new carrier system. 770-GET-HEAT. CentralHeat.com. When we come back, Sonny Hostins at The View realized one obvious thing in regards to illegal immigration. Next on the Morning Extra.
The legend Neil Bortz is only on Extra 106.3. Hey, it's Pete, and here's what you missed from the Talkmaster.
PMSNBC went on the air with a little sign that said, "Convicted felon sworn in as president for the first time in history." That's the reason the Kimmer and Tug and Rhino and the gang have more listeners here than MSNBC has viewers.
Catch Neil's commentary every day on Extra 106.3 or listen anytime on the Extra 106.3 app.
You're setting a lot of goals for 2025. Big plans, new adventures, and Subaru of Gwinnett has the vehicles to get you there. The 2025 Subaru Forester is the same reliable SUV that earned the trust of drivers for decades, but with more adventurous style and more advanced safety technology. And you'll love exploring in the 2025 Subaru Crosstrek. It gives you up to 34 miles per gallon and the power of a 182 horsepower Subaru Boxer engine, adding plenty of go to your adventures. The 2025 Subaru Outback shares your adventurous spirit. With up to 32 miles per gallon and 9.5 inches of ground clearance, you can explore your world with confidence. And the 2025 Subaru Legacy is what happens when we put the best of Subaru into a sedan. The turbocharged 260 horsepower Subaru Boxer engine makes driving a thrill. Plus, every Subaru model comes equipped with standard symmetrical all-wheel drive. Love is out there. Find it at Subaru Gwinnett, Satellite Boulevard in Duluth, or shop online at SubaruofGwinnett.com.
No one plans on going to jail, but when it happens, it's important that you know who to call. At A Second Chance Bail Bonds, we believe everyone deserves a second chance. We handle bonds from local to federal for any jail in any city. And in most cases, we can have you or your loved one out of jail in a matter of hours. A Second Chance. It's better to know us and not need us than need us and not know us. Call A Second Chance 24/7 at 404-BAIL-OUT. That's 404-BAIL-OUT. Or online at atlbail.com.
Military veterans are eager to transfer their skills and experiences to civilian life, but lack trusted connections to expedite their path to success. The civilian world can be confusing, and veterans do not need to journey through it alone. When you reach out to the Warrior Alliance, we will guide you to the best-in-class resources that can lead you toward renewed purpose after serving our nation. Find out why thousands of warriors have found success after service after engaging with the Warrior Alliance. For assistance, go to thewarrioralliance.org or call 404-210-1776.
Hey, it's a Kimmer. Okay, you're driving along. Suddenly you hear that horrible sound of metal and crunching. It's an accident. Even if it's a little minor fender bender, man, that could be a nightmare. First, obviously, take care of yourself. But before you make a deal with an insurance company or anybody else, call David Van Sant with Van Sant Law. You know why? Because he used to work for the insurance company, so he knows how to get the right settlement and right away. Van Sant Law. Don't forget, if you don't get paid, they don't get paid. Protecting your interests. Insurance is great, but it's complicated. 855-GA-INJURY or vansantlaw.com.
Join Braves Vacations for some exciting road trips to historic cities and ballparks during the 2025 season. Fans can enjoy 3 games at Fenway Park in Boston to watch the Braves take on the Red Sox May 15th through the 19th, or head to Wrigley Field for 3 games against the Chicago Cubs August 31st through September 3rd. Road trip packages include deluxe hotel accommodations, game tickets, exclusive events with Braves team personnel, unique excursions, select meals, optional airfare, and more. Visit Braves.com/vacation to learn more.
The stories that matter to you. These are your Georgia headlines.
Today is Wednesday, January 29th. Here are your headlines. The first piece of legislation during the second term of President Donald Trump's tenure will be signed today as the Laken-Riley Act will go into effect after passing through both halls of Congress. The law, named after a nursing student killed on the University of Georgia campus, Laken-Riley, would require federal officials to detain immigrants without legal status accused of theft and crimes. Over here in Cobb County, Town Center at Cobb, well, they have had their power shut off. This after the Kennesaw Mall was closed and its electricity turned off by Georgia Power, which said the owners were highly delinquent in their bills. There is an issue with cars at Hartsfield-Jackson Airport, as Clayton County officials have pointed out that frustrated travelers arriving at Hartsfield-Jackson Airport have not been able to rent cars on a regular basis. They blame this on the winter weather and one-way trips. And the Atlanta Hawks, they go down to the 32-14 Rockets last night, tracked them down in the fourth quarter, but were not able to close the deal here at State Farm Arena. They lose 100-96. For Extra 106.3, I'm Carlos Medina.
8 o'clock hour is brought to you by Central Heating and Air Conditioning, your Atlanta carrier experts. 770 get heatcentralheat.com. They are doing the 28th annual Winter White Sale right now. Save $2,000 off of a carrier system. That is a deal. That's a great product. The best in the business, working with the best in the business. 770 get heatcentralheat.com. Oh, the view. Sometimes I kick myself for even paying attention because it's so dumb, and my Aunt Peg watches it with religious.
Of course she does. My mom does the same thing.
I'm talking with conviction. She watches the show like it is my wife watching The Chosen, which is she's been watching a lot, and my son too, which is the Amazon Prime story of Jesus. And my son said it's great because it humanizes the story that I've been reading since I was a child. Sorry to get off on a tangent, but that's the way my Aunt Peg watches The View, with that same
fervor, that same interest,
that
locked-in religious view of it.
Absolutely, it is to her soul. So I think maybe that's why I pay attention to The View.
Talk to the Sonny Jesus.
Well, yes, that's right. Because it's so stupid. When you hear these women talk, it's so stupid that you can't take it seriously.
What does Whoopi Christ have for me today?
Sonny Hostins, she says, the people that broke the law to come into the country illegally. What does illegally mean? Against the law. Sonny somehow didn't know that it was illegal to come into the country illegally.
87% support deporting criminal undocumented migrants.
I don't know anybody in the world. Yeah, I don't know anybody in the world who wants to keep the criminals. I don't know anybody.
That's where you should be focused.
Can I say something? Because, we keep on talking about criminals and immigrants being criminals. And I just want people to understand what the facts are and the stats are, is that undocumented immigrants are much less likely to have committed crimes than American citizens. American citizens commit more crimes than anyone who is undocumented. I also want to make the point that an undocumented immigrant is not a criminal because he or she is undocumented. That is a civil offense. So to call people illegal is in and of itself, I think, xenophobic and racist. And I do.
Let me help her.
Yes.
No, it's called a federal offense.
It's a federal offense to come into the country illegally.
It's a federal offense. There are no state charges involved. There's no civil charges involved when you cross over into a country illegally. It's a federal offense. Now, to help out Sonny from here, notice she's using the language of the communists.
Of course.
Migrant.
Yes. Right.
Undocumented.
Well, but then, Americans commit more crime than they do. Well, no, the stats actually don't back that up.
No, it's a silly number that they'll say, well, in comparison, they commit less crime. All right, taken as a whole, you started by committing a crime.
The fact that you're standing in front of me is a crime.
You can take my entire life and say, Los, how many federal crimes have you committed?
0.
It's still 0. How many state crimes you committed? I got, a couple speeding tickets and
that isn't even a state crime. That would be a local
and an illegal U-turn. That's what happened like a decade ago. All right, that's the last time that I had anything happen.
Unless it's on the interstate, and then the state patrol will be involved. Maybe that'd be the only way.
Well, our friend Dave, that we like to use as our illegal.
Yeah.
Dave committed a federal crime crossing the border illegally without any sort of purpose in terms of he was not recognized to be here legally. And wasn't a student visa, wasn't a work visa. He crossed into this country illegally.
Well, it's interesting you bring up the visa thing because that is also a crime. Carolyn Levitt, if you don't mind, is a little bit of a...
Oh, yeah, please, go ahead. Yeah, she talked about the overstays.
It's exactly right. A little audible here on you, Joe. Let's play Carolyn Levitt cut 2 where she's talking about overstaying your visa and the fact that is a crime, yes.
Happens to those who've overstayed their visas. That is part of the broken immigration system. In 2023, there was a report by the Biden administration, the Homeland Security Department, that said overstays of visas were 3 times more than usual. Will there be a focus on the overstays for visas as well?
If an individual is overstaying their visa, they are therefore an illegal immigrant residing in this country, and they are subject to deportation.
Simple.
And there's no mincing words. There's no, this is a gray area. We're not sure how we're going. We want people to follow the law. Why do you're talking about your speeding. Why do you have to follow the law?
Because of following the law.
Because if you don't, you'll be punished. You'll be your financial status will change for $150, $250, $500, whatever it is, because you don't want to pay that. But why is it only you that has to follow the law? Why doesn't people who, when they overstay their visa, knowing it's against the law, why are they not subject to the law? When you come across the border illegally, why are you not subject to the law? And now they are.
We learned about systems when my wife was traveling internationally. Her old position that she had when she was the editor-in-chief of a design magazine and she was speaking internationally on like retail trends, what was going on, she was getting flown to like Turkey, Germany, all over the world. And one of the ones we found out about, like for instance, Brazil. Brazil requires a temporary work visa for you to fly into Brazil. You can be an American, you can have a passport, but unless you have official business in Brazil, Brazil does not allow you to just land and go do your thing. And there's certain countries where that is absolutely the case. So considering that Brazil, if you get on a plane and have to prove how long you're going to be there and what you're going to do, that sounds like they're a lot more stringent on immigration than we are.
Yes.
And that should not be the case.
Japan, same way. Japan.
What is your official business?
That's exactly right. And I don't even think, and somebody correct me if I'm wrong, 404-741-1230 or find us on social media at Xtra1063, at Tug Cowart, and at Front Office Lows. You can correct me if I'm wrong. But I think it's nearly impossible to become a citizen of the country of Japan if you weren't born in Japan. They make it an incredibly difficult thing to do, maybe even nearly impossible. If you know better, please correct me, but that's my understanding of the way Japan works when it comes to becoming a citizen or migrating to Japan.
So here's Sonny Hostins on The View taking that miracle leap, ignoring the law. I mean, that's the area you have to jump into in order to take this and basically whitewash it and say, oh, what do you mean illegality? Well, it sounds like we're just being horrible people. No.
We're just being mean, that's all.
We're just starting with the standpoint, if you're here and you don't have an official capacity as far as a legal document that says you can be here, then by law, you're here legally. That's it.
I just did a quick Google search, Japanese immigration policy. Japan's immigration policy is considered restrictive, and the country is reluctant to accept foreign nationals who want to stay indefinitely. The policy is designed to attract foreign workers who will eventually return to their home country. That's the way the Japanese operate. That's the way, as Los is describing, the Brazilians operate. The only place that seems to be kick the door open and it doesn't matter, you don't have to do anything, you can do whatever you want, is the United States. And probably some of Europe, but some of Europe is even pulling back, going, this has been a disaster for the last 20 or 30 years. And they are changing their immigration policies. And most of them are socialist nations, and they're still changing them.
Well, the issue you have going on in Europe is one of where, because of the demographic change, it's creating a societal change.
Yes, it is.
It's largely you're having these areas that are Sharia law, strict adherence to the Muslim faith in a way where you go, wait a minute, that isn't like our country. That's not the way it's supposed to be here. We have not suffered that as of yet. But, I mean, outside of like Minnesota. Minnesota's like the one area where like, okay, pretty legitimate, Minnesota and Michigan. But outside of that, you know, largely the illegal immigration that we've had has basically created a scenario where now the left, the communists basically point out, well, you want to pay more for your groceries? Like, do you want to keep enslaving people?
Right, which was what the conversation between Stephen Miller and Jake Tapper on CNN.
Tapper. It's like, why are you celebrating the idea that you are paying people less? A lot of times you're paying them off the books, and you essentially have a servant. Shouldn't we have, and the argument's always, well, Americans don't want to do that job. Well, Americans can't compete for that job.
Right. There's no way to make it because you're artificially lowering the prices.
Yes.
Or the wages.
We had some of the numbers. There was a documentary that was done, and it was on this Midwestern town. And what it was, they had a chicken processing plant. And what was happening was the locals were complaining because typically that's a $16 an hour job. But because of the Haitian immigrants that were brought into that community, they were being hired and were basically paid at $11 an hour, which meant that facility was saving $8 million a year on hiring non-Americans. And that was their goal. And they were, that they actually were doing was part of the craziness, is that the facility also paid for apartment space to house 6, 8, 10 at a time and bust them over.
And kicking actual citizens out of the complex saying, hey, we're going to remodel. That was the reason given. And then
it's an ugly game.
Filthy. And nobody cried for them. Nobody cried for those people that were getting kicked out of their homes. Why wasn't the same concern shared for those American citizens?
I think this is a number that we should all consider when we think about what has gone on in this country over the last 4 years. When Joe Biden and the administration would talk about their job growth numbers, which were always revised down, every single time it was revised down, what we recognize is that when we got out of the COVID era, you can link about 4 million jobs that were created during the Biden administration, not the 15 that they were claiming, because it was about 10 or 11 million jobs you were allowed to go back to after COVID. 4 million jobs is what they created. And a majority of those jobs went to foreign-born and illegals. We, for the first time in the better part of almost 8 years, we had Native Americans, regular Americans who were here in this country legally, who were born here. They were hired at a lesser pace than what we had illegals hired in this country.
It should be alarming to you when you hear that. And I'm sure it is for people listening to this show and the station, but it should be alarming to everybody.
But why do you think, and it's gone viral, and so you take it with a grain of salt. Honestly, I see these videos and I'm like, all right, I'm interested, but I'm not saying it's not religion to me.
Yeah.
When they start showing you, for instance, doctors' offices in California that are empty, that are typically filled, and you went, how many of these people are illegal? Because they're not here because they're worried about ICE. When you see a job site in Houston and only 8 out of 43 workers show up because they're worried about ICE checkpoints.
That shows you the problem. It illustrates it.
It makes you wonder if the Biden administration says it's 10 million, if Trump is saying it's 20 million.
It probably is.
Is it 30 million?
Or even more.
How do you have this many people not showing up at places and they're empty? How is because it started on the West Coast. Home Depot, completely empty. So workers looking around going like, there's nobody in here. Now, these are just regular people that are looking to come in, buy some stuff, do a job, because most of them were day laborers or were doing that sort of work. And it's empty because they're worried about ICE.
Huge numbers that you have to consider, and you have to wonder, why did Joe Biden, why did the Democrats, why did they allow it to happen? Because they didn't care about the American people. They didn't care about the consequences. What was their end goal? And globalism is the only thing that I can figure.
Voters and
power, money.
And when you have not a very good economy, because by and large, we can always point to the stock market, but inflation was insane. Their version of keeping costs down was having indentured servitude here, servicing Americans.
Which is filthy. And they're telling you that, like,
you don't care about these
Selena
people.
Gomez crying.
You didn't care about these people.
Selena Gomez didn't care about them whatsoever. And I know she's the poster child right now because she pushed the video out where she's all bawling and boo-hooing. She didn't care. She never cared. And now it's a virtue signal to show you how much she cares. Don't buy it. Just like you never bought it with the Biden administration. And I'm not trying to continue to look back. We're moving forward. We're doing good things, headed in the right direction. But you have to know where the trouble started and why it started to be able to fix it.
We are winning. Enjoy it.
That's exactly right.
We are winning on every front right now.
There is nothing better than the feeling of winning. That's the reason you watch sports, and when your favorite team wins and you go to work the next day, you got a smile on your face. You got 4 years of going to work with a smile on your face. Winning is what we're doing. When we come back on Extra 106.3, that time that Donald Trump broke Jim Acosta. It happened yesterday. Next on Extra 106.3, the Morning Extra. Tug and Los until 10.
The latest sports news, powered by 680 The Fan, and driven to extra listeners by RBM of Atlanta in Sandy Springs, Atlanta's Mercedes-Benz connection since 1964.
Another loss for the Atlanta Hawks last night, making it their 6th straight. This time it comes at the hands of the Houston Rockets with a score of 100-96, marking the 3rd game in a row the Hawks haven't scored 100 points. Trae Young and Dyson Daniels returned to the lineup, where Young scored 21, had 9 assists and 8 turnovers, and Daniels scored 12 with 10 boards and 4 steals. The Hawks' record moves to 22-25 as they enter a 3-game road stint starting Thursday against the number 1 team in the East, the Cleveland Cavaliers. For Extra 106.3 Sports, I'm Joe Virgin.
Central Heating and Air Conditioning would like to thank you for trusting them with your heating and air and home performance needs. They're doing that by throwing the 28th Annual Winter White Sale. Central Heating and Air Conditioning's 28th Annual Winter White Sale happening right now through the end of February. You can save up to $2,000 with carrier rebates. The best in the business, working with the best in the business. You hear me talk about them all the time. Chuck and his team are terrific. You're guaranteed to get the best deal possible when you work with Central Heating and Air Conditioning. And why are they the best? They're one of the few locally owned HVAC companies in Atlanta. There's been a bunch of them that have sold out to big conglomerates. They hang on to that old name, that locally owned name when it was, hoping you'll not know the difference. But I bet when you actually start working with them, you'll notice the difference. At Central, you're not just a number, you're a member of the family. It's been that way since 1947, and it continues today. Central Heating and Air Conditioning. They can fix what ails your house health and possibly your family's health. With home ventilation and air quality products, they have packages designed around health using variable speeds, fresh air ventilation, air cleaners, air purifiers, dehumidifiers, and so much more. Central Heating and Air Conditioning's 28th Annual Winter White Sale goes through the end of February. Check them out now, centralheat.com, or call them at 770-GET-HEAT-TURN to your Atlanta carrier experts.
Are you tired of dealing with loud, ugly, drafty garage doors? Do you have certain rooms in the house that you can't keep cool in the summer or warm in the winter? Hi, I'm Dan Watkins with All Four Seasons Garage, Entry Doors, and Windows. Now is a great time to upgrade with brand new, efficient, quiet, and beautiful garage doors. Your garage door is the biggest opening in your home, which is why it's such an important part of your home's curb appeal and energy efficiency. Give us a call today at 770-517-7078. Get started today by visiting us at allfourseasonsgarages.com.
You may know that ATL Turf Co. has become a leader in artificial grass design and installation services, but you may not know that ATL Turf Co. is a large artificial grass distributor. We only sell U.S.-made, premium name brand turf at factory direct pricing below wholesale. And now we're open to the public with large inventories of lawn and landscape, putting green, athletic, and pet turf on sale. Plus, all remnants are on sale for only $1 per square foot, direct from Dalton to our warehouse in Kennesaw. Visit atlturfco.com to learn more. atlturfco.com.
Who doesn't want a great smile? The world seems brighter because it is. Hey, it's a Kimmer. How's it going? You know, that's only one reason to see my dentist, Dr. Dina Giesler at Atlanta Smiles. The other reason, of course, is to take care of your teeth if they're going to make your life miserable. We all know that. But when's the last time you were smiling before you walked in the door like me? Because I know Dr. Dina and her staff are the happiest Kimmer babes you ever saw. We're going to fix me up, and I always take the gas. They tell me my best stories come out that way. And you can actually get a doggy right there napping in my lap, a little doggy. I said, go ahead, work away. Dr. Dina's a Navy vet, ranked a master dentist, which only 1% can say. She's been doing veneers since before anybody even knew what that was. My first visit was 30 years ago. Cosmetic dentistry, cleaning, bridges, crowns, especially keeping your teeth and gums healthy to last as long as you do. Veterans automatic 10% discount. Just tell them when you call. Atlanta Smiles, 404-262-7733. It's atlantasmiles.com. Your new smile's waiting for you. atlantasmiles.com. Tell them the Kimmer sent you. Ask for the doggy. atlantasmiles.com.
Get connected to Extra 106.3 on all your favorite apps. Then download ours and stream the station across Georgia. We're live online at extra1063.com. Stream live video from the studios on YouTube. And of course, Kimmer, Bortz, and your favorite Extra shows in crystal clear digital on the Extra 106.3 app.
Tug and Los till 10 on the Morning Extra and Extra 106.3. Jim Acosta is an interesting man. And I'm just trying to be as polite as I can about Jim Acosta because it's easy to just berate him because he comes off as dumb sometimes.
Nobody likes seeing somebody in the media lose a position unless you do something egregious.
Absolutely. Like the fact that CNN fired 200 people and now Jim has decided to go his own way, if you will.
It's terrible.
It sucks, man. It does. Media is a brutal place to work.
Yeah, there's not enough of these jobs. It's why we all know one another and we all give each other kind of like the knowing nod and the look. Like, oh, okay, yeah, you're going through it. All right, I get it.
You may have told him this. I don't know. A friend of ours down the hall, Chuck Oliver, you've worked with him for years. He popped in a minute ago just to talk about something y'all are going to work on the sports side.
Yeah, next week.
Yeah. He said, in Atlanta, Georgia, it is a 1 in 700,000 chance to work in media. 1 in 700,000.
Sounds about right.
That's an enormous number that I had never even considered. I certainly consider myself very fortunate to be sitting here and have the opportunity to speak about a message that I think is important and that I hope that you think is important. But those odds are not good.
I was talking about this yesterday with somebody I'd met because she had ended up asking about the whole media business, and I said I've been very fortunate.
Run!
that I've only had to move halfway, not across the entirety of the country, halfway across the country once.
Yeah.
Like, I am very fortunate that has happened where Dallas to Atlanta, and Atlanta's been home for 20 years because so many of these people move around. And so, yes, there's a part of me that wants to look at Jim Acosta and recognize that the dude made his name off of sitting in press conferences, sitting in White House pressers, and trying to make it hard for the administration under Donald Trump.
Yeah,
that was what his calling card was.
Right. And he didn't, for the last 4 years, did not do anything similar to that.
No.
Because I would have respect for him if he went after the Biden administration in the same way.
Keep making the powerful accountable.
That's right. That's the whole point.
Like, I talked about this yesterday. The issue I had with the coverage of January 6th versus anyone who got pardons under the Biden administration is that the people that got pardons under the Biden administration, they had real power, real influence. The people languishing in jail for 3, 4, 5 years, they were like, I admit my guilt and I'm out of here. Whereas these other people said, yeah, you got me, but thank you for the pardon. Let's keep it moving. If you are keeping powerful people accountable, I think that is the best thing you can do as a media member.
Of course.
It's the reason why we point stuff out. I mean, no one in this market has gone after and also supported Brian Kemp in the way that we have.
That's right.
We point out when we completely agree with the governor. Then there are times we'll point out we think he's not doing right.
That's exactly right. And I have no problem with it. And I would like to think that when I see him, he would go, you know what?
Thank you.
Dude, or yes, that for sure. I don't know that we'll ever get that, but at least he goes, they treat me fair.
Yeah.
That's all I care.
Because when he showed up in front of the World Economic Forum, I was the very first person to say, I have a problem with this and here is why.
This don't feel right.
I was like, I do not like this. Now, I also acknowledged it was in the interest of trying to garner more business for the state of Georgia. My point is, you're going into the snake pit. Don't act like you're not going to get bit by this stuff.
That's right.
So I think that's what's going on. And Jim Acosta was doing that questioning of power. And then as soon as the Biden administration rolled in, it was all lollipops and fairy tales and rainbows,
giggles and things,
right?
And pull my finger jokes and stuff like that because it didn't matter. He had no interest in holding them accountable because he agreed with everything they were doing, going after conservatives, militarizing the DOJ, essentially turning it into an army of activists. And that's what we're having to clean out now. He never brought that up. I could at least, even if I disagree with him vehemently on everything, if he called balls and strikes for both sides, I could at least respect him, and I don't.
So this is Jim Acosta on CNN yesterday. You want to talk about somebody who has an inflated view of self. He was told that in Trump's America, he's going to have to work at midnight. He's going to have to do the overnights. No more will he have the 10 a.m. show as CNN is trying to redo their lineup because they're trying to reposition themselves. Remember, this was a company that 30 years ago, they used to take you all around the world and give you everything that was going on. And within half an hour or a full hour, if you gave them, you felt like you knew about everything going on in the world without any sort of political slant.
You were riding along in Humvees.
Yes.
And access to...
You rode to Baghdad and Kuwait and everywhere else.
Access to the war machine, the war effort, probably a better way of putting it, the war effort against the Iraqis when they had invaded Kuwait, and we said, we're going to go fix this problem. You were entrenched with the military. It had never been done like that before.
And not only that, which, again, credit to how they did it, but when there was a natural disaster, they're on the ground and they're telling you stories about what was going on, how government wasn't helping, or how they were helping. Either way, but it was still, I'm telling you the story. Nobody took you into Katrina like CNN did 20 years ago. And that's how far that they've gotten away from being a news gathering organization. Take a listen to Jim Acosta as he is in his own sacrilegious self. He's signing off knowing that he has lost to Donald Trump.
It is never a good time to bow down to a tyrant. I've always believed it's the job of the press to hold power to account. I've always tried to do that here at CNN. And I plan on doing all of that in the future. One final message. Don't give in to the lies. Don't give in to the fear. Hold on to the truth and to hope. Even if you have to get out your phone, record that message. I will not give in to the lies. I will not give in to the fear. Post it on your social media so people can hear from you too. I'll have more to say about my plans in the coming days, but until then, I want to thank all of you for tuning in. It has been an honor to be welcomed into your home for all these years. That's the news. Reporting from Washington, I'm Jim Acosta.
When he says, hold the powerful accountable.
What side?
You didn't do that. You didn't do that. And you're completely lying about doing it right now. Then he says, don't fall for the lies. The fear and the lies. You spread the fear and the lies, dude. What are you talking about? I want to be able to say, gosh, he was a good dude. I hate that he's leaving CNN. But I can't because I have no respect for him. At all.
If you want to make the point that he grew his brand to where he could get out of the White House press briefing room, and that's why he wasn't in there during the Biden administration. Okay, I'll believe you. I'm willing to listen to that.
You're a better man than I.
But when you were built on asking the tough questions to powerful people, and then as soon as a new administration came in, you're like, I'm done with questions.
Crickets.
Yes.
Nothing more than crickets. That's not holding the powerful to account. That's doing exactly opposite of what you say you're all about and what you say that your career is based on. It's exact opposite of that. It's like so many things now. In Trump's America, we can look at it and call it for what it is. You can say things that you've never been able to say, or not never, that you haven't been able to say in years. You've been able to be honest. Even if it hurts feelings, even if it ruffles feathers. And Jim Acosta is not honest. He's not. I take no joy in saying I think the dude's a liar, but I do. I bet anybody listening right now feels the same way. If you don't, please call me, 404-741-1230, and tell me why I'm wrong.
No, there are articles about the Trump administration deciding, all right, listen, we're not going to continue dealing with this. It's an irritant. We're going to get rid of his credential to be in here. And then, as soon as Joe Biden got into the office, now the stuff that Jim Acosta is talking and writing about, you can find it over in the Atlantic as well. We're going to take it easy on him. Why? Because he's senile and old and you'll expose what was actually going on?
And
the
you
dude
agree.
fell off a bike month one. Come on.
But the bigger reason is because they agreed with what's happening or what was happening. They were in full agreement with it. And so, as long as I agree with it, I don't care that they're weaponizing the DOJ. I don't care that they're doing things behind the backs of parents while their kids are at school because I agree with it. That's as low down as it gets right there. Being able to call balls and strikes. I hope you hold us to account for doing the same thing because I certainly want to hold myself accountable. When we come back, when you drive, tell the map, drive me to where it turns blue. And when you do that, it's like in the Brad Paisley song Water, when you do that, it's going to have a different name. I'll explain after the Fox News update.
It's time for the Bortz Report, exclusively on Atlanta's only conservative news and talk station, Xtra 106.3.
Well, let me start this rant by being clear. I do not like unions, especially government employee unions. At the top of that list is the teachers' unions, perhaps the most dangerous, perhaps hell, union in America. Now, RMG Research is a national public opinion research firm. Scott Rasmussen, maybe you've heard of him, they released a poll last week. 1/2 of all federal government employees plan to resist any administration policy put forward by Donald Trump. 1/2. They say that if Trump issues an executive order with which they disagree, they will ignore that executive order and do just what they think is best. Now, most of these government employees are of what party? Yep, you guessed it, Democrats. Imagine you take over a private sector company as the new CEO, and your job is to turn that company around because it's obviously failing. But your employees who are union members and really can't be fired, or at the best, it's very difficult, want you to fail. They do not want you to succeed in turning this company around. This is what Donald Trump is facing. Employees who can just ignore what he wants them to do or actively work against him. This is called the deep state. And this is why power needs to be returned to the states from Washington and Washington unions. Trump's idea of getting rid of the useless FEMA, a great start. Neil Bortz, Extra 106.3.
For half a century, glyphosate has affordably and effectively protected Georgia farmers' crops from invasive weeds. Without it, the impact would be felt beyond the fields, hitting Americans where it hurts, our wallets. That's why the Modern Ag Alliance advocates for farmers' continued access to essential crop protection tools so food prices don't rise even more. Get the facts at controlweedsnotfarming.com. Paid for by the Modern Ag Alliance in support of Georgia farmers.
One of the hardest things to do is to walk away from a paycheck. As retirement planners, Masterplan knows how hard it can be to pull the trigger on your own retirement. Don't go it alone. Masterplan is a holistic retirement planning firm that works with you to create a retirement plan to help maximize your golden years. Through income planning and money management, legacy planning, and tax planning, we create a plan specifically designed for your life. Enter retirement with confidence. Contact Masterplan to analyze your retirement outlook and create a plan that's right for you. All initial consultations are complimentary, so contact us today and begin your pursuit towards peace of mind. Visit masterplanretire.com. Masterplan Retirement Consultants. Plan well and prosper.
Advisory services offered through Masterplan Retirement Consultants Inc., a registered investment advisory in the state of Georgia. Insurance, tax, and commodity services offered through Fricks & Associates Inc., DBA Masterplan Retirement Consulting. The aforementioned are affiliated companies.
Amazon Business offers smart business buying solutions, so you can spend more time growing your business and less time doing the admin. Learn more at amazonbusiness.com.
One of my favorite Babylon Bee headlines just now said, "Democracy falls as the man who received the most votes becomes president," ladies and gentlemen.
The Kimmer Show, every afternoon from 3 to 6 p.m. on Extra 106.3 and the Extra app. WFOM and W292EV Marietta, a Dickey Broadcasting Station. The 9 a.m. hour is presented by Southern Exteriors. Quality and precision you can rely on.
Undoing something else the Biden administration did. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News, and the push for mass deportations.
The people of this country want these dirtbags out. They want their communities to be safe.
Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem just told Fox that she today revoked a temporary status for Venezuelan migrants here illegally.
They were going to be able to stay here and violate our laws for another 18 months, and we stopped that.
Secretary Noem took part in raids yesterday in New York City. Among the ones nationwide that arrested nearly 1,000 more illegal immigrants charged with crimes, more than 800 others ordered detained. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. goes to the Senate Senate next hour for the first of 2 days of confirmation hearings as Health and Human Services nominee. Republican Senator Roger Marshall supports Kennedy, telling Fox,
America is not very healthy right now, that 40% of Americans have a chronic disease. Our children, 20% of them are on some type of prescription drug.
Kennedy plans to say in his opening statement he's not anti-vaccine or anti-industry. He's pro-safety, but his cousin, Caroline Kennedy, calls RFK Jr. a predator.
Bobby is addicted to attention and power.
She posted it on social media after writing a letter to senators warning them about
his constant denigration of our healthcare system and the conspiratorial half-truths he's told about vaccines.
President Trump wants to reduce the federal workforce, offering buyouts to those who don't want to return to offices.
The new Trump team thinks they could save $100 billion taxpayer dollars because they think that many people, that many federal government employees are going to reply to an email they got last night with the word resign.
Fox's Peter Ducey at the White House. Those who resign by next Thursday would be paid through September 30th. The president's also readying a new executive order today that would cut federal funding to schools that teach radical gender ideology or critical race theory. A new national assessment of educational progress shows fourth graders scored a little better at math in tests last year compared to 2022, but a little worse in reading. For eighth grade, math scores were unchanged, but reading comprehension got worse. A third of them failed to read at even a basic level. That's more than ever. America's listening to Fox News.
When you hear the term living better, what do you think about? More money? A bigger house? Maybe a yacht? What about how you feel physically? How you wake up each day? How you sleep? What activities you can and cannot do? When you feel good, life is good. So if pain is affecting your life, see how Relief Factor can help. Relief Factor is a daily supplement that fights pain naturally. Developed by doctors, it doesn't just mask pain temporarily. It helps reduce or even eliminate pain. In fact, the longer you take it, the more effective it is. So give their 3-week quick start a try. It's only $19.95, less than $1 a day. And it just takes a phone call, 1-800-4-RELIEF. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF. Wherever you're hurting, in 3 weeks or even days, Relief Factor can give you a chance to rediscover the true meaning of living better again. Visit ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4-RELIEF. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF.
Can't afford to fill your grocery bags or gas tank? Fill your day with the best conservative talk for free by downloading the Extra 1063 app wherever you download your apps.
Tug and Los until 10 on Extra 1063.
Sweat, baby, sweat, baby, sexy.
Funny song.
Thank you, Bloodhound Gang.
That's right. So we had this conversation. What was it? At 6 o'clock this morning? Was that what?
Yeah,
was when we talked about the
6
song?
o'clock hour. We were talking about Insane Clown Posse
and
the rest of the music of the early 2000s.
And how Joe and his buddies wear ugly sweaters and that are like 90s, late 90s, early 2000s.
It's Cosby-oriented sweaters.
Yes, and listen to bad, like post-grunge music.
Yes, but it's now back.
It is. And
like y'all jumped right past grunge. Like, didn't you spend a little bit of time with that? Because like the early part of Gen Z is still on grunge.
Yeah, they're on grunge. We're like, grunge is kind of, it's all right. It's fine. There are people that are like, oh, I love Nirvana. Like Foo Fighters is one of my favorite bands.
Okay.
Ever.
Which was post-Nirvana.
Which is post-Nirvana, still kind of grunge.
But still kind of in that era, though. I mean, they were the one big rock band along with like U2 that still existed after that era.
U2.
You don't like U2?
Not at all.
Oh my God! Stop
U2's
talking.
great. Like when they did the whole tour of all they did was play Joshua Tree for like the 40-year anniversary. I was like, I'm in.
Well,
love that.
My first experience with U2 was when they added that entire album on my iPod shuffle.
Yes,
and I was like, this is the worst thing ever. And all the songs were terrible.
It was not a good record.
It's not a good record. We had some stinkers. We had Pop Mart.
Yeah, not good.
Yeah,
that
had before
Numb on there.
Yeah. Listen,
with U2 and Coldplay are like the same in my head. I can't stand Coldplay.
I dig both those bands. I like them both.
Coldplay's fine. It doesn't affect me either way. U2, I take the hat off and acknowledge there's a lot of greatness.
Legendary. But I understand where you picked up.
Yeah,
the
do it on your cell phone. I can see where it's an issue.
Like 30 years, 20 years, 25 years.
Probably 20 years past. No, it's true.
The allure was gone by the time Joe picked up. But if you go back and listen to the early U2 stuff, all the way through probably I don't know. We'll give it early 90s.
Early 90s.
Maybe even mid-90s. But after that, it's kind of down to there's
like
really nothing
all
left.
my interaction, it was Bono, right? And every, like, South Park just constantly made fun of Bono.
Yeah, right. Because he was such a legendary.
I'm going to call myself The Edge. Okay. Chill out, buddy. It's
kind of fun.
You don't see Keith Richards calling himself The Shredder. No, he's Keith Richards.
But Keith Richards made it a point, too. He's like, I'm going to live as hard as I can, as long as I can.
He's the cockroach.
Yes, it's going to be him and cockroaches. That's all it's going to survive.
It'll be impressive to see it all.
You know
come
what?
down.
But I don't blame you for this. Joe, I look at it because in a similar fashion, when I was your age, I still had my favorite artists making music. I've now gotten to the point, because all of my favorite artists were, 15, 20 years older than me. Now none of them are making music anymore. Like, they're still playing shows. They still show up, but as far as like a new album, it doesn't happen. Like, these guys all hit. They all basically play music from about 25 to about 45, maybe 50 tops. And then they don't play anything anymore except what they've been playing for 30 years.
Play the hits.
So if you're U2, it's what's going to be,
But I like a lot of older bands. Like, half my music's older bands, half my music's newer bands.
Where's Pearl Jam fit in?
Oh, I like Pearl Jam.
Okay.
Do you think that whenever they start playing Brown Sugar, do you think that, like, the Rolling Stones are like, oh, by the way, read those lyrics at any point. You want to go song that can't be written anymore.
Great.
But that's one of those songs where
absolutely
when it plays, I have to imagine, like, the Stones just go, we got to do it again.
Got
to play it again. Here we go.
It's interesting because I think they've gotten to the point where they know where their value is. It's not in trying to foster new music. It is simply fostering new lovers of their hits, because that's all their concert is a greatest hits. I mean, they don't do anything new that I would imagine. Or that I've heard. I've never seen them, which is sad to me.
I will point out the last time that they had, in my opinion, like, new music that was cool to listen to.
Steel Wheels
tour.
Yep.
Steel Wheels tour, like 93, 94. Mixed Emotions is like such a great song. Such a great Rolling Stone song.
Yeah, it is.
And after that, they basically said, and no more new music ever again. We're just going to play what we want to play.
And have made...
I would do this. They have to love performing, too. To do it for as long as they did, and all the money they made.
They got to get a run.
My parents went and saw them. They were like, oh, this is going to be the last time we're going to be able to see the Rolling Stones.
No, it's not.
It's like they're so old. It's the last time. That was 1997.
Yeah.
I think the only one I kind of believe is Elton John. Like, I think he's actually legitimately done.
Because he's got a real health issue.
He made it a point. Here's the last tour, and that's it.
I think he lost hearing.
Yeah. Like, I'm done.
He couldn't even hear the music that he scored for a play, and Joe might know what play it is. It's just
because Joe knows all the plays.
Yeah, that's right, Joe. But I love it too. I just don't keep it up like
musical encyclopedia.
That's right.
Good old Joe. He can always tell you, Elton John, what play did he write?
The new play that Elton John scored. Do you know this on Broadway? Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Oh, you finally stumped him.
That's right.
I don't.
Well, finally stumped musical Joe.
But he went to it, and he was like, and he praised the people performing, but he's like, I couldn't hear it.
Joe, Rolling Stones, Mixed Emotions.
Yeah.
Just something to consider for the final hour.
Absolutely right.
That's a lot. And by the way, you're going to be looking and listening to a song which is like 30 years beyond, 40 years beyond when they started really writing music, and that's going to be like the last one where you go, man, they can still do a hit.
Absolutely right. There's nothing like the Rolling Stones. I love them. Another guy that I really like is Brad Paisley. His politics and mine don't match. He's one of the few liberals in Nashville. Not like overly liberal, not super political. He just believes a little different than I do, and I'm okay with that. But his album that had the song Water on it had a great line that said, drive until the map turns blue. And I loved it. I thought it was so clever, because how many times in your GPS as you're driving to the beach, all of a sudden you see, especially you with a house down there, you start seeing on your map, it's nothing. It goes from land in like a beige color to nothing but blue, and that's the ocean, and you can't wait to get there.
We had a friend of ours who's a studio over in Chuck Oliver who ducked in. You know, he's just chatting about sports stuff. He's always had a funny line. He's like, drive to Mobile till you can't drive any longer, take a left.
That's right.
So you want to know where to go
That's
in
where I'm
Florida?
going.
Drive to Mobile. Excuse me. Drive to Mobile until you can't drive any further and take a left.
Take a left. There's a great line. That great line from Brad Paisley: "Drive until the map turns blue." Well, now when you do that, Google Maps is going to change what you read. You know how when you look at the Google Maps, if you were to do a quick search for Gulf of Mexico, it would come up the Gulf, where you're used to going down 30A, those places, Orange Beach, some of the places that Los just brought up. They say as soon as the government makes the official change to change the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America, Google Maps is going to do it too. I was like, you got to be kidding me.
It's crazy.
Dude, it was one of those things that did not matter whatsoever. I thought it was just a troll job. I thought it was just Trump, being boisterous, loving America, and not giving a damn who liked it or didn't. And so immediately when I read it, I went and checked. I typed in Gulf of America, and it took me to the right spot. It just still said Gulf of Mexico. So it's not going to happen as quickly as I thought. But as soon as the federal government actually makes that adjustment and recognizes it, Google Maps will follow.
My point on this is that it doesn't really change a whole lot of anything.
Nope, but it's fun.
But it's a mentality.
It's fun.
It's a mentality that we are the ones that are running things. And it's egotistical, isn't it?
Of course it is.
I like the idea that we're egotistical.
Me too. America is great. We are exceptional.
You spent so much time when the teacher's lounge is in charge telling you about all the things you can't accomplish and all the ways you have to apologize. My biggest issue when Barack Obama first came into office was the apology tour. It's like, what are you apologizing for? Especially when you're going over to Europe and you're apologizing when I'm like, we bailed you out twice in a century. What are you apologizing for? But when you have a Marxist communist, this is what they're doing. We shouldn't be apologizing. When we want to be, when we are at our very top, we are the greatest country that's ever existed.
Without a doubt.
When we fulfill our expectations, we are that country.
A friend, listener, Thomas McGrath, pops me an email, came in a few minutes ago, and it just says, "Are you tired of winning yet?" And the answer is no, Thomas, I'm not. I replied that back to him. No, I am not tired. Never tired of winning. It's like when your team wins a national championship or a World Series. It's great to be able to wear that national championship or that World Series shirt or sweatshirt or ball cap. There is nothing like when you walk in the office the next day and there's people that will celebrate it with you, or there's people that'll go, "Man, I hate your team. They're no good." And I'm like, oh, that's where you're wrong. They're real good.
They're champions.
They're champions, and your team is not. It sucks to be you right now, and I don't care. It's kind of petty like that, changing it to Gulf of America, but it's fun.
But when you can, it's kind of fun.
It is.
And then doesn't change my life one bit.
No.
In fact,
and to be honest, I couldn't even care less.
When I go fishing in the Gulf, I'll still be, well, I guess we're going out to the Gulf of Mexico.
Yeah.
But
until you train yourself.
There's part of me that's going to be like, keep calling it Gulf of America.
Yeah, that's right.
Because we're winning.
Just to see who notices and who goes, that's right. Carlos Medina, that's exactly right. The Gulf of America.
I mean, let's talk about this big scheme of things. Why are we naming it after a narco state?
A failed narco state. One that we're probably going to have to sanction and put tariffs on. And there's a travel warning right now from Texas into Mexico because there's been these narcotics officers fighting against the gangsters that are down there. I mean, they're firing guns at each other back and forth. It's basically a war zone down there. So, yes, I like America better than I like Mexico. And I like having the Gulf of America better than I like saying Gulf of Mexico.
Had we had the scenario where Nazi Germany is able to knock out Britain in World War II, and they decided to call it the Nazi Germany Channel rather than the English Channel, wouldn't we feel a little bit gross about that?
Yes, of course.
It's like, yes, absolutely you would. Mexico's a narco state.
Absolutely it is.
And granted, the Mexican people, pretty quality people.
Yeah, of course.
But it's a narco state. That's who's running this. So why not, if we're into winning and we're just having some fun with this whole thing, why not Gulf of America?
U.S. warns against travel to certain parts of the Texas-Mexico border due to gun battles that are happening right now. You have to be aware of what's happening down there. And the woman, Mrs. Sheinbaum, the new president of Mexico, is a Marxist. She's a complete Marxist. She's a complete communist and will not do anything to benefit the people that live there, which is why many of them would like to come to the United States. Unfortunately, right now ain't the time. Obviously, there's been such chaos and upheaval by the Biden administration. They've made it harder for people who want to do it right to come to America. That's the sad part. That's what should make Selena Gomez cry right there, that good people can't come because we got to clean up the mess that the Biden administration left.
And what we currently have happening is that you have fentanyl being trafficked from China into Mexico, and then it gets processed with the drugs. Now, if you don't know what fentanyl is, and hopefully you don't, because you know it kills people, that's probably it. But fentanyl is a medical application by which, if you've ever been put under for a surgery, the chances that you've had fentanyl are pretty good, because fentanyl is used to bring you out of that grogginess. It's helping you wake up.
Was that the thing Michael Jackson was?
No, he was going like he was doing like horse tranquilizer sort of stuff.
All right.
But so fentanyl has like a legitimate medical use, but the reason why it gets cut into drugs is so your high doesn't last as long. So rather than you having to get high, let's say 3 times in a day, you got to get high 6 times in a day. So you end up spending more. That's the reason why it gets placed into stuff, and all of that gets processed in Mexico after it's manufactured in China.
Acute propofol. That's what Michael Jackson. That's what I had mixed up.
Horse tranquilizer.
Yeah. Damn.
It puts elephants down.
Good Lord.
That's how he slept.
Yeah, which is insane. And I mean, I'm not trying to derail us, but I was just curious.
Just out of curiosity.
What was it that dude was doing? But yes, they cut it in there. They make it more, and that's the other thing.
And then it gets trafficked here.
That's right. And killing
Mexico ain't your friend.
Thousands and thousands and thousands of people. Are the Mexican people your friend? Many of them, yes. Probably even a good portion of them, yes. But their government and the corruption that filters down from the president all the way through their military. And then, of course, they're letting the cartels run everything because they're getting a cut of it. They're getting a kickback. They know what they're doing.
Short of starting a narco war with Mexico, does Gulf of America really seem that bad?
No.
It's like, listen, we're taking this away from you because it's like a child in timeout. You've caused too much trouble.
That's right.
You're helping kill 100,000 Americans a year.
You got to cool your jets, pal.
I mean, we have twice as many Americans dying a year from fentanyl that's being manufactured in China and trafficked through Mexico than we had die in the entirety of the Vietnam War.
It's unbelievable. And that's why it's so important to have good governors like Abbott in Texas, like DeSantis in Florida. And look, to some degree, we disagree back and forth with Brian Kemp here. We think he does great on some things, and some things I'm not so sure about. I want to treat him fairly. I think he's done a pretty good job of trying to police what's happening. Maybe I'm being too kind in my description. But look, Ohio needs a good governor too, because that is a state that is going to be important for years and years and years to come. And Vivek Ramaswamy might be the guy to do it.
Donald Trump is the anomaly. The person who has never held political office that then rises to the highest office in the land. Now, granted, we basically elected a TV star, okay? Like, we're a little wacky like that.
Of course.
But it's worked out in the past, and it seems to be working out right now. Vivek Ramaswamy is a guy who jumped on the scene, and he was, if you remember, he was basically Trump's surrogate. Like, Trump's not taking part in any of these primaries. He's already winning, beating everybody. But he had somebody who was a surrogate there.
And you could hear him when he spoke. You're like, well, that sounds very Trump-like.
It was Ramaswamy. And so I believe a lot of this is because a lot of it was, oh, my God, what's going on with Doge? And then we kind of got word, hey, Doge is going to be an advisory council. The governor of Ohio is real power. And he has a legitimate chance of landing it.
I do believe there's some headbutting going on there.
But if you
Huge egos.
But if you just compare the two.
No, of course. What's more important? But at the same time, you can't tell me that Chris Carr can't be the AG of Georgia while running for governor. That's more than Doge. That's an actual job.
But I can't be an advisor. In my opinion, I'm an advisor without power. I don't have any executive power. Whereas if I really want to have influence and I'm going to invest my time, my efforts, my money, it's going to be in governor. And so to me, I think we're looking at, hey, we'll see you in 2034. Because if Ramaswamy ends up being governor of Ohio,
kicks open the door.
That's going to be because everything leans towards J.D. Vance in 2028. But then you're going to have down the road, all right, what are you doing from here? And I think that's going to be in the next decade. You're going to see him and DeSantis. Remember, these are not old guys.
No, that's right.
These are early 40-year-olds.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter that there was a little headbutting between Elon, if there was, between Elon and Vivek. It doesn't matter. It's pointless. It doesn't matter. Who cares? But I still believe it happened.
Well, one can be president, one can't be.
That's right. Yes,
although
absolutely right.
Elon is the richest man in the world, so
and Trump might have a third term. You never know.
If he wants to be space commander and take that job away,
he
can be space commander.
9 o'clock hour is brought to you by Southern Exteriors, your home exterior solution since 1999. Right now, when you do windows, doors, roof, gutters, back deck, whatever you do, you can get 12 months 0% financing or 10% off the job, no matter how big, at Southern Exteriors. SouthernExteriors.co or 8779 Joy Reid at MSNBC. Her brain is broken. Guessing Trump did it. Next on the Morning Extra. Hey, it's Tug. The Morning Extra has you covered from 6 to 10, and Kimmer's got you on the ride home.
You're going to get to the line here pretty soon, did he, or not? And say it. Okay. I was hoping that would be the song. The title of the song is the big line coming up there. This is Offspring. No, well, it's Offspring, right?
Yeah, it's
okay, it says here, the Offspring went to number 1 British chart with Pretty Fly for a White Guy. So I was hoping that was, if that's not the song, I was going to wait for the thing. They haven't said it yet.
That's not it.
That's not it? Oh, that's why. See, I don't know anything about Offspring.
There it is.
Oh, there it was.
You just said it.
Well, and I talk over it. And you talk over it. We all talk over it.
Start it over again.
Leave me alone. It's Friday. Screw everybody. We're here till 6. That's all I ever promised them. Leave me alone.
The Kimmer Show, every afternoon from 3 to 6 p.m. on Extra 106.3 and the Extra app.
It's cold in Atlanta right now, but spring is on the horizon. Want to see me and my friends over at 680 The Fan take a plunge? Well, your donation will decide. It's the 2025 Polar Plunge to support Special Olympics Georgia. From now until February 16th, just go to SpecialOlympicsGA.org and make a donation on behalf of our friends at 680 The Fan. If we raise $2,500 or more, I'm taking the plunge at Ackworth Beach on February 22nd. And all donations go to support Special Olympics Georgia. Donate now at SpecialOlympicsGA.org. and click on the Polar Plunge link.
I enjoy a good night's sleep, and I like to breathe while I'm sleeping. My wife appreciates that, too. That's why I wear a CPAP. You want the right machine. You want expert advice. You want all the supplies that go with it. You get it all at CPAPs, etc. in Alpharetta. Machines, masks, tubing, filters, cleaning supplies, all of it, and they ship nationwide. Walk-ins, by the way, are welcome. CPAPs, etc. Alpharetta, CPAPSETC.com.
With a dramatic increase in crime these days, I urge you to protect your home and all that you hold precious in it. If you've been thinking about home security, now is the time to join the millions of Americans who trust Simply Safe, and I'm one of them. Simply Safe doesn't just react to break-ins. It helps stop them before they begin. Their exclusive Active Guard outdoor protection uses AI-powered cameras backed by live monitoring agents to keep watch over your property 24/7. So if somebody suspicious approaches your home, agents can see them and speak to them in real time. They also call police, all before they have a chance to get inside. Simply Safe makes it easy to protect with no long-term contracts, no hidden fees, and monitoring plans that start about $1 a day. Plus, with a 60-day satisfaction guarantee, you can try Simply Safe risk-free. Visit simplysafe.com/Beck. Claim 50% off your new system with a professional monitoring plan and your first month free at simplysafe.com/Beck. There's no safe like Simply Safe.
I'm Chad Pergram with the Speaker's Lobby. The Senate met late last Friday night before voting to confirm Pete Hegseth as Defense Secretary. All Democrats opposed Hegseth. 3 Republicans joined them in voting no. The Senate then hung around for a Saturday morning vote to confirm Kristi Noem as Homeland Security Secretary. Republicans blasted Democrats for delaying the confirmation of CIA Director John Ratcliffe by 2 days, and then requiring the Senate to use all time available after they broke a filibuster on Hegseth for the vote late last Friday night. Republicans have made claims that Democrats are obstructing the nominees, but that's not quite the case. Every nominee except Hegseth confirmed by the Senate has received bipartisan support. All 100 senators voted to confirm Marco Rubio as Secretary of State, and 7 Democrats voted for Noem. Other nominees scored help from Democrats as well. It usually takes months to confirm nominees. For instance, former President Biden did not get his last 2 cabinet officials confirmed until mid to late March. Right now, President Trump is ahead of the rate of confirmations he had during his first term. With the Speaker's Lobby, Chad Pergram, Fox News.
Fox on Tech.
More AI for Meta for you. The company writes on its blog that its signature AI assistant now has a better memory, whether using Meta's Facebook, Messenger, or WhatsApp. You can now even tell Meta AI to remember things about you and allow it to learn about you, your interests, or activities from the things you share in your messages. Meta says the AI will use that information to tailor its responses to you. For instance, if it knows you eat only certain foods and you ask for a restaurant recommendation, Meta AI will know not to suggest eateries serving dishes you despise. The feature will work on all of its platforms using the associated apps on either iOS or Android and within the US or Canada. Meta says the AI will only remember things you tell it in one-on-one chats, not group conversations, and that you will have the option to clear its memory whenever it suits you. With Fox on Tech, I'm Eben Brown, Fox News.
The stories that matter to you. These are your Georgia headlines.
Today is Wednesday, January 29th. Here are your headlines. The first piece of legislation during the second term of President Donald Trump's tenure will be signed today as the Laken-Riley Act will go into effect after passing through both halls of Congress. The law, named after a nursing student killed on the University of Georgia campus, Laken-Riley, would require federal officials to detain immigrants without legal status accused of theft and crimes. Over here in Cobb County, Town Center at Cobb, well, they have had their power shut off. This after the Kennesaw Mall was closed and its electricity turned off by Georgia Power, which said the owners were highly delinquent in their bills. There is an issue with cars at Hartsfield-Jackson Airport, as Clayton County officials have pointed out that frustrated travelers arriving at Hartsfield-Jackson Airport have not been able to rent cars on a regular basis. They blame this on the winter weather and one-way trips. And the Atlanta Hawks, they go down to the 32-14 Rockets last night, tracked them down in the fourth quarter, but were not able to close the deal here at State Farm Arena. They lose 100-96. For Extra 106.3, I'm Carlos Medina.
9 o'clock hours brought to you by Southern Exteriors. Right now, if you do any job with them, you can get 0% financing or 10% off any job, no matter how big. Doors, windows, roof, gutters. They can build you a deck. They can screen in your deck. They can do anything you need done to the outside of your house. Reach out to them at southernexteriors.co. It's southernexteriors.co or on the phone, 877-9-SOUTHERN. So, Joy Reid, I mean, it's almost like the Jim Acosta thing, but even magnified. I mean, she is way out there. I can't take her serious ever. And so when I hear her speak, it even happens worse and worse because she goes to extremes that I would have never even considered her going to.
The reason why we call it Trump derangement syndrome, this actually started during the Barack Obama administration, where people were so incredibly obsessed with what he was doing, they were upset on a regular basis. And then we saw it oddly amplified with Donald Trump, in part because they didn't believe that he should be in office. They were told he's a Russian spy. Yeah. He cheated. This is what he, and it made people, in this case, the scientific way was it caused inflammation in their brain. It caused them to be hooked to this.
An actual medical description.
An actual medical description for Trump derangement syndrome. And anyone, it's very similar to what we see in servicemen and women when they've been through trauma, where they will then have, there's almost an addiction to it, where they have to kind of be around it in order to feel normal, but they have trouble sleeping and they deal with depression. That's very similar to what people have when it comes to having Trump derangement syndrome. She has it bad. Like, yes, she knows. And this is how I know she has it bad. When you and I go home, Tug, and Joe, when you go home, whenever that is, when you're not having to work for Kimmer as well, you don't end up tweeting out or Xing out anything about the show. Like, it's just, it's a back burner thing. Like, yes, I will still comment on politics, But I'm not having to do another show on video.
Right.
I'm not having to make sure you understand how much this is what's going on. It's just not me.
There's other things in life to fill your time. Maybe your wife, maybe your children. I don't know.
Might be in volleyball, might be involved in sports. Whatever it is, I'm having something else I'm gonna do during that time period. Joy Reid continues to put stuff out there.
Stews on it.
So this is now the 80th anniversary National Day of Remembrance when it comes to the liberation of Auschwitz. Okay, we're talking about one of like the nastiest places on earth where you just had an entire death camp. And if you were there, that's what it was going to be. It wasn't a whole lot of work. It was a whole lot of death. It's one of the most brutal aspects of World War II. Take a listen to Joy Reid, who, as I've pointed out, inflammation in the brain, depression, trouble sleeping, Trump derangement syndrome. What does she turn this National Day of Remembrance into?
But how did Hitler do it? Well, with the support of millions of ordinary Germans who just wanted Germany to be great again. A new piece by The Atlantic lays out how Hitler ended a German democracy and installed a dictatorship with blinding speed and entirely constitutional measures. In that period, Hitler emerged emboldened after being imprisoned for staging a coup. His rage and xenophobia gained followers after the financial ruin of World War I and the Great Depression, and helped get him selected as chancellor. Once in power, he moved with shock and awe, imprisoning his liberal opposition, abolishing states' rights, and imposing bans on left-wing newspapers. He fueled German public outrage by blaming European Jews for Germany's problems. Notably, he and his Minister of Public Enlightenment and Propaganda, Joseph Goebbels, launched a massive propaganda campaign that labeled Jews as carriers of deadly diseases and violent terrorists. Defeating the Jews of Europe, who they viewed as subhuman, was a question of good conquering evil, which conditioned millions of Germans to celebrate Hitler and turn a blind eye to his brutality. If that sounds vaguely familiar, that's because it is. Similarities to what happened in Germany and what's happening now in America are just undeniable. Trump and Stephen Miller, his former director of speechwriting, depict non-white immigrants as carriers of deadly diseases who are violent terrorists. Trump was returned to the presidency after staging a coup and has exerted control of media or social media in order to parrot anti-immigrant vitriol and openly hateful anti-LGBTQ language, which is what Meta just did. And then there are the business leaders who pay him, fund him, and think they can control him. And then there was this startling image of Trump's biggest paymaster, Elon Musk, that many likened to a Nazi salute.
Wow.
That's a crazy lady.
Being able...
I mean, I guess it works for her audience.
What's left?
Diminishing a little bit of audience.
Whatever's there. When she talked about, immigrants being, dangerous terrorists, is she trying to tell me that Laken Riley wasn't murdered? Is she trying to tell me there wasn't a woman set on fire in a subway? Is she trying to tell me that ICE agents aren't being thanked by people in New York and Chicago for helping make the street that they live on, the community that they live in, safer? Because that's what I've seen. I've seen it happen. So what is she referring to?
Well, you recognize that Donald Trump, when he gets in office, he'll never leave.
Right.
Oh, wait.
Like last time.
Hold on a second.
Yeah.
None of the stuff you're talking about ever happened. If you want to be honest about what happened during the 1930s in Germany, you had a fractioning of the entirety of the voting bloc, and you had a multitude of parties that were all looking to secure power. And the Nazi party was able to do it. I believe it ended up being like 33% of the vote, but everybody else was smaller. And so, yes, that's how Hitler ended up becoming chancellor. Donald Trump just had
a landslide victory.
So Joy Reid views half of America, more than half, as being Nazi sympathizers.
Well, so did Joe Biden. Or whoever
they
was
tried
controlling
to tell us.
Joe Biden.
That's what they tried to point out.
Over and over again, they told you that. So it's no surprise, I guess, that she would feel that way because she aligns with Joe Biden and the people that puppeteered Joe Biden, Barack Obama, and whomever else.
I'll ask this one little question, and it was something I was pondering yesterday afternoon. Considering that you now see all the information, and this will go back to COVID, on ivermectin and its effectiveness in saving people's lives, you ever ponder that the death toll in 2020 while Donald Trump was president was in part to make sure that they could get him out of office?
Yes.
Here's the tally. Here's what we're doing. So you had an entire industry that recognized they could make money, but also that the more death, with your grandmother dying, with your mama dying, with your brother dying, was going to be for the good of getting Donald Trump out of office, rather than them just giving you a pill that costs, I don't know, I think I was paying like $6 a month to have a month's supply.
It was something that they were willing to let you suffer.
So tell me who the Nazis are.
That's right. They were willing to let you suffer to secure whatever outcome that they wanted, which ultimately came to being.
They were willing to let hundreds of thousands of people die in the interest of securing power. And tell me who the Nazis are.
Well,
tell me, Joy Reid, how this man, it all echoes Hitler. I already saw what y'all did. You tried to burn down the country.
And not even, but the world even. They tried to burn the world and did. I mean, you had Australia and New Zealand where everybody said, I will go there. When everything collapses, I'm going there. That's where the people are nice and they act normal and the government's okay. They were locking people up in concentration camps. I mean, it's probably not the right. They were locking people up in big camps that wouldn't get COVID shots or that contracted COVID, and they wouldn't let them out.
And let's just lay it all out here, because it was all about a body count and it was all about being able to secure power. Because, I mean, Joy Reid's telling me about the body counts and what they were doing during Nazi Germany and what Hitler was up to. Then you pardoned all of them on the way out, did Joe Biden?
Just to solidify the fact that they were guilty like you thought they were, he did that just to prove that you're right.
Just to prove that everything I'm telling you is correct. Yeah, there's no tinfoil hat required here.
No, not at all.
Who wanted death and destruction in the interest of changing power? Who was rooting for it? Who ran a table on every single news broadcast to tell you about how many people were dead and how many of these hundreds of thousands of deaths could have been prevented if they really wanted to prevent them?
Yeah. That's unbelievable.
But power was all consuming. So you can tell me all about Nazi Germany and Hitler and what he was up to and
make the comparisons.
And you want to try and make that comparison? Joy Reid, I can make this comparison easier than you can, because you know what?
Your side actually sees it for what actually happened.
80 years ago was a long time ago. You know what wasn't long ago? 3-4 years ago.
When we know
a lot of people saw what happened.
Absolutely right. And that it was so powerful. What you're describing is so powerful that you have a person like Donald Trump and a person like RFK Jr. that politically have nothing in common that I can tell. Like, truly, they don't have anything in common politically. And because it was so bad under COVID, the government overreach, the government mandates,
the lack of early treatment,
that two people who are polar opposites or seem to be polar opposites have become a unifying force in America.
A drug with antiviral properties that has won the Nobel Prize for its effectiveness around the world. You had the government tell you it was for horses. And not to touch it.
And when a celebrity, because that's what Joe Rogan is, when a celebrity said, I used it, what they're telling you is wrong, they called him crazy. They said, don't listen to this dude. He's going to get you killed.
When my 71-year-old stepfather got COVID, the first thing I did, I was like, here's what I'm sending you. Here's a doctor you need to go see. By the time he got his ivermectin in the afternoon, because there were doctors that were still prescribing it in Texas, it had not been cracked down on. The dude was fine in 48 hours. And he was in that perfect area of, hey, this tends to kill you when you're this age and you're at this level of health. 48 hours, totally good. And I had the rest of my family doing the same sort of stuff. And then it wasn't until everything happened with Joe Rogan that you then had. I even had nurses tell me about how monoclonal antibodies, you had the Biden administration cracking down on those, so you couldn't give those to people. They had it in plenty of it. But once the Biden administration got involved, they cut that off too, so that you only had one option, whatever they were selling you. Paxlovid in their shots. And you want to tell me about Nazi Germany, right. Joy Reid?
That's right. You are a fool. And if you listen to her and people like her, you're going to be misled. That's why we try. Do we get it wrong sometimes on the show? Absolutely right. Get it wrong. And look, people call and say, hey, man, y'all are wrong about this. You need to correct. This is something you need to correct. Something you need to think about. Something you need to read into. Willing to take any criticism. Call me and let me know what it is at 404-741-1230. But our goal is to get it right. Joy Reid's is not.
I don't know if you still remember 2 or 3 years ago when we had a guy call in and he was like, "You're going to get people killed with what you're talking about." Of course. Guess who was right?
Yes. And that same person was talking about, you're telling people not to get the vaccine. They need to get the vaccine.
And now that person who knows I'm correct has to wonder, why did you buy into all these lies? Like, maybe you're adult enough, because you sounded older than me. Maybe you're adult enough to now know that I was the one always telling you the truth. It wasn't propaganda.
Pride is a devil of a thing to get over. So I doubt it. They're probably sitting back trying to come up with reasons that you're with their heart. Yes, with their heart problems. That you were right or you were wrong and they were right. When we come back, we'll wrap up the show. The battle for RFK's nomination is quite a confusing fight, and it starts at 10. So in about 19 minutes, we'll talk about that next as we wrap up the Morning Extra on Extra 106.3.
The latest sports news, powered by 680 The Fan, and driven to extra listeners by RBM of Atlanta in Sandy Springs, Atlanta's Mercedes-Benz connection since 1964.
Another loss for the Atlanta Hawks last night, making it their 6th straight. This time it comes at the hands of the Houston Rockets with a score of 100-96. Marking the 3rd game in a row, the Hawks haven't scored 100 points. Trae Young and Dyson Daniels returned to the lineup, where Young scored 21, had 9 assists and 8 turnovers, and Daniels scored 12 with 10 boards and 4 steals. The Hawks' record moves to 22-25 as they enter a 3-game road stint starting Thursday against the number 1 team in the East, the Cleveland Cavaliers. For Extra 106.3 Sports, I'm Joe Virgin.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textplan.us. Texting enrolls for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply. Reply stopped, opt out. Consult a doctor prior to use.
You look amazing. What have you been doing?
You've heard of Ozempic, Wegovy, and the other GLP-1 medications, right? Well, I found this great company called Zelfie. If you qualify, their providers can prescribe medications like Ozempic and Wegovy and other GLP-1 medications that are 80 to 90% less expensive, all 100% online.
I can get GLP-1 medications for 80 to 90% less and do it all online? No doctor's office or pharmacy?
Yes, Zelfie can help provide you with semaglutide or tirzepatide, the active ingredients in Ozempic and other expensive GLP-1s, but for 80 to 90% less.
How do I get started with Zelfie?
Just send them a text.
Text MAJOR to 200-300 to get started today with Zelfie to see if you're eligible. Get the same active ingredients in Wegovy or Ozempic, but for 80 to 90% less and 100% online. Don't wait. Text MAJOR to 200-300 right now for a link to your exclusive offer. Text MAJOR to 200-300. MAJOR to 200-300.
There are crazies on the road. Who knows where they're all going, but if one of them hits you, don't take care of it on your own. Call my friend David Van Sant. He is the lawyer that used to work for the insurance company. The team at Van Sant Law knows who to call, what to say, and will make sure you get what you deserve and what the insurance company doesn't want to pay for. They have your best interest at heart and will take care of everything. If you don't get paid, they don't get paid. My advice, save Van Sant Law in your phone. Today, 855-GA-INJURY, vansantlaw.com.
Are you tired of dealing with drafty, inefficient windows? Do you have certain rooms in the house that you can't keep cool in the summer or warm in the winter? Hi, I'm Dan Watkins with All Four Seasons Garage Entry Doors and Windows. It's time to upgrade these old windows. Replace them with double-pane, beautiful, energy-efficient windows. Your new windows will help you regulate a perfect temperature throughout your house. Start saving big money on your energy bills and improve the curb appeal of your home. Give us a call today at 770-517-7078.
Who doesn't want a great smile? The world seems brighter because it is. Hey, it's a Kimmer. How's it going? You know, that's only one reason to see my dentist, Dr. Dina Giesler at Atlanta Smiles. The other reason, of course, is to take care of your teeth if they're going to make your life miserable. We all know that. But when's the last time you were smiling before you walked in the door like me? Because I know Dr. Dina and her staff are the happiest Kimmer babes you ever saw. We're going to fix me up, and I always take the gas. They tell me my best stories come out that way. And you can actually get a doggy right there napping in my lap, a little doggy. I said, go ahead, work away. Dr. Dr. Dina's a Navy vet, ranked a master dentist, which only 1% can say. She's been doing veneers since before anybody even knew what that was. My first visit was 30 years ago. Cosmetic dentistry, cleaning, bridges, crowns, especially keeping your teeth and gums healthy to last as long as you do. Veterans automatic 10% discount. Just tell them when you call. Atlanta Smiles, 404-262-7733. It's atlantasmiles.com. Your new smile's waiting for you. atlantasmiles.com. Tell them the Kemmer sent you. Ask for the doggy. atlantasmiles.com.
Love having a true conservative news and talk station in Atlanta? Then spread the word. Tell your family and friends to download the Extra 106.3 app and stream the Morning Extra, The Kimmer Show, and Atlanta's biggest lineup of conservative voices.
Tug and Los on the Morning Extra and Extra 106.3 until 10.
I'm sorry you're feeling bad.
Well, it's just the tiniest little headache, that's all.
He's been struggling.
It's not a tumor.
Struggling.
Yes, it's just a little bit. Just in the last about 15 minutes, is it?
Do you know where that's from, by the way?
No. It's not a tumor?
No.
Oh.
The struggling.
I don't know where that is.
So that's Broadway Joe Namath when he was talking to Susie Colbert.
Okay.
And at the time, and he went and got treatment, but he was hammered.
Oh, I do remember. I know. Let's say remember. I know of
the whole,
this.
I want to kiss you. Yeah. But he flat out tells her he's struggling. And he turns struggling into the longest word you've ever heard on television.
5 syllables. I love it.
So to this day, whenever I see somebody like yourself, Tug, where you got a headache,
just a little bit,
I think of Joe Namath struggling.
Hopefully it's benign, Tug.
Yes.
Well, I'm hoping it's not a tumor.
Yeah.
That's my first hope.
But if it was,
yes, I hope it was benign.
Then we got some stuff we got to take care of.
Yes, absolutely. But we're gonna have some insurance claims and things like that.
We'll make some phone calls.
That's right. No kidding, man. Goodness gracious. Hopefully it won't turn out to that, and it's just something a little Motrin will take care of.
Being that we have an entire desk full of drugs right across the hall, I'm just surprised that you didn't go over there and grab a little Motrin or something.
Yes.
This entire office, I don't know what your office is like, friends of Morning Extra, but ours is filled with drugs that are taking the edge off and caffeine.
Yes, there's plenty of
much caffeine
and liquor.
There's
lots of liquor.
There's plenty of liquor. Now, it's frowned upon, so it's not like people are partaking in that.
In the Wild West, they used it for medicine.
That's true. If you had to take things down a notch, maybe, snake bite.
Just saying.
Got to get the poison out. Might need a little bit of whiskey. It's how that goes. But it normally is a Braves day game for anybody to get into any of that stuff. That's right. At noon around here.
That's right. Our friend Steve Marcinko over at Rustics Manor.
Good dude.
Was such a great guy. He and I text back and forth quite a bit, just about things that are going on in the world. Crazy things like Joy Reid, crazy things that the left does, and the stuff that Donald Trump has been so successful with. And he was like, dude, with a head like that, how's it not going to hurt? That is such classic. That is a classic because my daddy used to say that all the time. I'd be like, my head's hurt a little bit. With a head like that, how can it not hurt?
How's it not going to hurt?
Yeah, that's right. So Steve for the win this morning.
Steve gets the W for the day.
That's exactly right.
And if you're looking for a W, you just reach out to us. We need to really think about a winner per day.
Yes.
Now, you're going to get, Steve doesn't know this, but I'm awarding him a bucket of pride.
There you go. Steve, bucket of pride just for you.
Now, he might be thinking, where is this bucket? But it's more in your head.
It's symbolic.
Right. I have just given you the bucket of pride. In fact, Steve, if you happen to hold your hands above your head, that is you holding up that bucket of pride. Now, it could be whatever's in there. Whatever
Simba
you look at as pride. Yeah, it might be Simba. It might be chicken. Who knows?
Or gold.
Or gold. Could be anything you want to view as pride. Like for me, I might think, hey, my 10-year-old, she's so cool. Bucket of pride.
That's right. I like it. I'm fine with it.
Might be cats for Joe.
No, it's a bucket of Zen.
Okay, a bucket of Zen.
See,
a whole thing full of Zen. He's like, look at what I got over here.
I don't got a 10. I got a bucket full.
That's right.
You and Chipper Jones and everybody in the PGA.
Like when we get visited by Bella later this week, it's going to be a bucket full of vape.
Yes.
Or just tobacco.
It will. It will definitely.
Because that's what she's into.
Yes, she is. She'll deny it. I don't vape. In her finest New Jersey accent. I don't vape. Or however it goes.
Right. But she's a hardcore.
But yeah, she is. For sure.
Like she's one of those people in radio that steps out of the office like every 15 minutes, and you know what they're doing.
Yes, I've worked with them over the years, the smoke breakers. And
did we not do it right? Like you talked about when you were serving in the Navy that you would take a cigarette and just go stand outside.
Because you didn't get a break otherwise.
Right. So, but smoke breaks, they were part of what was going on in the Navy and part of what happens in an office.
I don't know that they still do it like they used to because I've been out since 2000. I've been out 25 years now. And we would buy a pack of cigarettes just to go out there and be like, if you're not going to give us a break, if we don't get the same break that everybody else gets, then we will make our own. And let me tell you, you know how long it takes to burn a cigarette that's not being smoked that you're just holding? I mean, it is hours. Sometimes I'd be out there so long, I'd feel bad about it. I'm like, dang.
There's nobody here to man the console.
That's right, exactly.
What happens if we get attacked by the Russians?
And I would hand it off to an actual person that smoked, be like, because it'd only be a quarter done. I'm like, dude, I've not taken the first puff off of this. It's just a way to get a break. Do you want this thing? And they'd be like, hell yeah, I do. You know, cigarettes are expensive. And they would knock the rest of it out. They'd smoke another just to stand there.
I would just like to think about the scenario of young Tug in the Navy. And I think, at the time, maybe like $6, $7, $8 for a pack, right?
I don't even think it was that much.
Maybe it was less.
I was joined the Navy in 95 and was into the fleet by 96.
I just remember when I would do poker with the guys and they would complain about $7
Okay, well, maybe it was and I just didn't realize.
But that was like early 2000s.
Yeah, okay.
So you're probably right around in that neighborhood. So you're spending your own $7, $8 in order to be able to have your 20-minute break.
Yeah.
It's like, that's not a bad trade-off.
No, it didn't, and I was fine with it. It didn't bother me at all until I was out there for 2.5 hours. I'm like, that's probably back in there. Probably taking advantage.
This might be frowned upon.
I'm taking advantage of Uncle Sam at this point. Not that everybody else would, because every time I went out there to do the smoke break, the same dudes would be out there. It was like they would do it in shifts, and maybe it works that way in the office. I don't know. Does anybody in our office smoke?
Not at this point, I don't think.
I don't know if there is anybody that smokes or not.
The last one was Broadway Jim.
Yes, that's right.
I was like, I think he decided that, once he moved back to Oklahoma, that was like our last one in the building.
Yeah, former operations manager here. But yeah. So anyway, I don't know how it lines up, but you'd always see them, and they would come in waves, and always the same guys out there.
See, I use this
burning down their lungs
in 2020, 2021. Like when I went to the Gulf Coast, when I went to the Golden Nugget in Mississippi, the Golden Nugget had their one deal, which was as long as you had, whether it was a cigar or a cigarette, then you didn't have to wear a mask.
Oh, yes, sir.
You could take off your mask as long as you were. Think about the information there. You could take off your mask as long as you were smoking. So we made it a point to have cigars no matter what lit.
That's right.
And you might put it to your mouth like once every 20 minutes.
Or maybe not.
But as long as it was burning next to you, good to go.
Hold it in your hand. That's exactly what we did in the Navy. We would just hold it. Me and my buddy Aaron, who lives out in Seattle, I was the best man at his wedding. We see each other once every 10 or 12 years. Now we've started doing virtual happy hours. It was just we did the first one last month. We're going to do one this month.
We're on Zoom.
Just to be able to catch up, and he'll have a cold beer and I'll have a rum and Coke or a whiskey and Coke or whatever. But he and I would split the pack of cigarettes, whatever it cost, and we would rotate out, man. Here's your one. Take this one. Or it would be like, hey, man, I'm going to come hang out here. Do you want to switch out? And I would hand him the cigarette, and he would just hold it.
Take this smoke. I got to go back.
That's right. He would just hold it. It was nuts the way it worked out. But another place that allows smoking, and I don't know about during COVID because I've only been out there a couple times, but the MGM Grand. I always thought it was weird that this is my first trip is where we stayed, and we were covering the Academy of Country Music Awards. And I couldn't believe that they allowed smoking in there. This is like a legendary place. I just didn't know that. It didn't bother me. I don't care.
Most of the Vegas casinos, because of their filtration systems, have it. You'll find it in most of the Mississippi ones. If you go out to North Carolina, the Harrah's, they don't. And so
they don't allow it or don't have the filtration?
They don't allow it.
Okay.
Like they have designated areas outside. But that was what was really kind of nice about it, is that you never had to worry about like washing the clothes or anything else after the evening was over. You could play down in there as long as you wanted. And if you were jonesing somehow, you could just step outside, but you didn't have to worry about any of that in there. And so that's part of the reason why I've been able to convince my wife, because her hair catches all the smoke. It's long, it's curly, it's just what it is. She's a big fan of, we don't have to bathe and shower and everything else after the night's over with to go to bed.
You do at the MGM Grand. I don't know if it's still that way, but I assume that it is.
I'm going to look it up right now. I'm going to tell you.
Do they allow smoking?
I'm going to let you go through half a pack when you're there.
That's exactly right. Just hold them. Well, you need to go, man. It'd be fun. That'd be a fun trip.
I'd like to go to North Carolina.
I don't like gambling.
Neither do I.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Let's go see the shows.
Yeah, or just go hang out. I don't know. It just seems like a good place to do a boys trip. That's all I'm saying. Or maybe to Los's Florida house. Maybe we'll get that in one day. I don't know. You can't ever tell what we'll end up
Better
doing.
get after it pretty soon.
That's what I hear. I wasn't going to say that, but yes.
I'm going to cross my fingers on that one.
All right. The Senate confirmation for RFK begins in about 5 minutes. So we will definitely be talking about that tomorrow morning. Beck will have it. Clay and Buck will have it. And, of course, they'll have it this afternoon with the Kimmer Show. Do you find anything before we're out of here?
I'm just seeing that as far as the rooms and the suites, they're non-smoking, but I think the floor at MGM Grand
still
smoking.
back. There you go. That'll do it for us. Y'all come back now. You hear?
Hey, it's Flounder, and the Kimmer Show is live every afternoon from 3 to 6 p.m.
I could never close a deal. I was always a big brother. You know, well, never mind. Nobody wants to hear that crap. Sorry. I'm sorry. How are you? What's going on in the mountains?
Gay big brother, huh?